threat, this a warning. Ay, you don't wanna see me pull up, run away if you can, making my opponents give up. You just don't understand. I'm not being cocky or nothing. I got the stats to prove it. I'm on the track, I attack and I just be acting foolish. This that napalm, explode. This that vibe got me in the mode, taking it higher than before. They wonder how the boy's so cold. TNT, legend, yeah, I seem to be. You never want beef with me, I bring that heat repeatedly. Yeah, we just getting started though. Go! I'm not here to play around, I just lay them down. Enemies, they might come around, but they don't stay around. On my hustle every day and night, ain't no days off. Making moves till I got it right, I'm a straight boss. Saying what I feel, I don't bite my tongue for nothing. I just hopped into the game, nobody seen it coming. They know I'm the number one, I'm flexing and I'm stunting. All the work paid off, I ain't do all that for nothing. You just gotta love it, it ain't no discussion. Now my name buzzing, they know I'm up to something. Tell them that they time is up, cause I'm rising up. Whole city on fire, better get the fire truck. Ain't nobody in my lane, feel like I'm the main. Every day you know I'm going off, bring the pressure and the pain. I'm about to change the game, somebody better ring the alarm. Hold up, I swear they ain't see it coming. Hold up, this ain't a threat, this a warning. Hold up, I swear they ain't see it coming. Hold up, this ain't a threat, this a warning. Back up, you know I'm a menace, I'm the hardest you done seen today, by far. I got 5 stars like it's GTA, quite raw. I'm not with the talking, I'm just with the action. Toe to toe with anybody, we can make it happen. Wait, now tell me what are you gonna do? I'm the realest, yeah, I'm the truth. Shut it down and I take the crown with every single thing I pursue. I just do what I gotta do. If you're in the way, then you gotta move. Respect, better leave quick, this ain't a threat, I'm just warning you. Yeah, straight up.
I ain't getting any younger, I ain't getting any younger, but I'm getting better, I'm getting better. I ain't getting any younger, I ain't getting any younger, but I'm getting better, better at living this life. Ladies and gentlemen, cats, dogs and other wild animals, why feel bad when you can feel good? I be waking up, feeling kind of low, like I'm running out of time, I'm running out of time. Now I'm feeling fine, I learned how to fly, and I opened up my mind, I opened up my mind. Every now and then I stop and see the light, every now and then I stop and see the light. I can tell you no, yeah, I can tell you no. Every now and then I stop and see the light, every now and then I stop and see. When I'm walking down the road, I'm walking down the road. Every now and then, I just need a reminder. I ain't getting any younger, I ain't getting any younger, but I'm getting better, I'm getting better. I ain't getting any younger, I ain't getting any younger, but I'm getting better, better at living this life. You now, I can tell you're lonely now. You're feeling all alone, you're feeling all alone. I've been here before, and I can't tell you where to go, but I'll make sure you know you can open up that door. Every now and then I stop and see the light, every now and then I stop and see the light. I can tell you no, yeah, I can tell you no. Every now and then I stop and see the light, every now and then I stop and see. When I'm walking down the road, I'm walking down the road. Any younger,
something that you've got to know. This is only the beginning. You never know where you may go. So hold on to the highs while you're alright. Cause you know you're gonna come down. Just a matter of time and you will find everything comes back around. Comes back around, comes back around, back around. Comes back around, comes back around. So hold on to the highs while you're alright. Cause you know you're gonna come down. Just a matter of time and you will find everything comes back around. So hold on to the highs while you're alright. Cause you know you're gonna come down. Just a matter of time and you will find everything comes back around. Comes back around, comes back around, back around. Comes back around, comes back around.
Incoming transmission.
네, 안녕하세요. 버투스 프로의 클래식 김도희입니다.
안녕하세요. S8UL 소속 테란 구미호 고경재라고 합니다.
지금 생각해보면 딱히 한 게 없는 것 같은데 그냥 뭐 수영도 다니고 뒹굴뒹굴 많이 했던 것 같아요.
좀 쉬는 시간이 좀 많았었는데 그 덕분에 약간 어깨랑 팔, 목 이런 데가 되게 많이 좋아졌어요. 연습하면서 좀 바쁘게 보내고 있습니다, 요즘에는. 진짜
제발.
대진표가...
어딨어?
저는 괜찮은 것 같은데요? 김도우 선수보다는 김준호 선수가 훨씬 무섭거든요, 사실. 그래서 김도우 선수랑 하게 된 게 좀 좋은 것 같아요. 이제 성주만 안 올라와 주면 완벽할 것 같다. 약간 이렇게 생각이 드네요.
고병재 선수 굉장히 까다롭고 솔직히 뭐 할지 모르는 선수여서 까다롭긴 한데 그래도 12강에서 이제 올라오는 선수가 중요할 것 같아요. 또 성주 같은 애 올라오면 또 굉장히 힘들어져가지고 그나마 싫은 선수는 성주나 도욱이 이 중에서는 제일 할만하다라고 생각을 해가지고
병재 형 싫긴 한데 게임을 너무 이상하게 해가지고 뭘 할지도 모르고 그래서 머리 아팠던 것 같아요. 만나면은 토스해도 되니까 상관없을 것 같아요.
이왕이면 12강에서 최대한 경기 많이 해가지고 힘 좀 많이 뺀 다음에 보여줄 수 있는 거 다 보여주고 좀 어렵게 올라왔으면 좋겠고 레이너가 좀 GSL 왔을 때 좀 많이 일찍 떨어졌잖아요. 제가 지난번에 떨궜거든요, 레이너를. 그게 좀 이게 빨리 떨구게 되니까 좀 미안한 감이 있더라고요. 이번에는 좀 8강에 좀 올라왔으면 하는 좀 바람이 있네요.
I guess he beat me last time, so I guess it's a fair ask, you know. But I'm gonna do my best. I think I have a good shot against GuMiho in general.
오랜만에 이제 GSL 하게 됐는데 우승을 한 지가 너무 오래됐거든요. 이번엔 반드시 우승하도록 하겠습니다. 파이팅!
우선 오랜만에 열린 GSL이다 보니까 제가 의욕이 굉장히 많고 오랜만에 우승도 할 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 파이팅!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the second to last day here of the GSL. We're going to be wrapping up Group B here, and by tomorrow we'll be in the round of 4 and the finals.
Yeah, we are moving through this GSL blazing quick.
Yeah, it's a bit of a speed run here. Good to have you with us. This is going to be the group that Reynor is in, a very tough group. Reynor could be one of the players, maybe the first player in maybe 14 years to get to a round of 4 as a foreigner.
Yeah, who would it have been that long ago? Jinro or Huck?
Jinro.
Or,
Yeah, it was Jinro. Unless I'm missing something big there.
No, I think you're right.
So, there's, especially if you're watching the English stream, probably a lot at stake for you as a fan. Of course, Maru's in this group. We've got Classic and GuMiho as well. It's a pretty stacked group. I would say Reynor maybe has 50-50 shot of getting out.
Yeah, I feel like everybody, all of us non-Koreans that have been watching GSL have been hoping for somebody like Jinro or Huck or maybe some other foreigner to come in GSL and make a championship run, have been waiting for a moment like this one, where Reynor is now in the round of 8. He is 2, maybe 3 match wins away from going to the playoffs, the round of 4.
Yeah.
Potentially having a foreign champion, which has never happened in GSL's history.
Which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah, because so many people have lived in Korea in the past, and just no one has been able to lift the GSL crown.
Really good players. Players that have won, even players like Scarlett, who won IEM in Pyeongchang, like in Korea, right?
Right.
Did not end up winning GSL. So that's been an interesting part of StarCraft history. When I moved to Korea, which was like 17 years ago, I remember a lot of the Koreans that I would meet back then, they didn't even know people played StarCraft outside of Korea. But I remember saying, no, there's a lot of people, a lot of guys just like me that grew up on this game. And surely there's going to be someone that's going to have a shot. And then I thought, okay, as we got more and more Europeans, players in North America dominating, someone's going to come through and at least win one, but it hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't happened. We've been close, but it feels like we haven't been close in like 13 or 14 years,
Yeah.
Which is strange also because you think back to like 2010, 2012 era of StarCraft 2, and there were always moments where somebody like Huck would come in, and he had this insane run where he was like winning Home Story Cups and DreamHacks and MLGs. He was perennial championship contender. He couldn't make it happen. And then years pass, and it's not just Huck. Now we have a ton of foreigners like Cyril, like Clem, like Reynor, who are on top of the world champions, who could potentially win a GSL, but it just still has never happened. So the fact that Reynor is here now in the round of 8, and potentially looking for a spot in the top 4. It's very exciting. By the way, guys, GSL, if you want to support this tournament, it is partially crowdfunded. You go to patreon.com/GSL. Support some of the best StarCraft 2 content in the world for a very long time. Longest running esports show in history. Get all kinds of cool perks like behind the scenes interviews, replay packages. It's great if you want to support the GSL.
So as always with GSL group formats, 2 players will advance and 2 players will be eliminated. Hero will go up against the second place survivor here from Group B, and Cure will face off against whoever gets out first in Group B. A very stacked group. I mean, I thought Group A was pretty impressive as far as the lineup, but I would say this one's even better.
Yeah, which is insane to say considering the group that we cast yesterday was beyond Hero, Rogue, and Kira, and somehow Group B feels potentially stronger. I think it was Rogue in his interviews on the broadcast yesterday that said that he thinks that Classic right now is the best Protoss player in the world, not in fact Hero.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Classic hasn't really lost a PvZ versus somebody other than Cyril in a while. He's been looking really solid in this matchup. He does play a different flavor of PvZ than Hero, whereas Hero's a lot more in your face, and Classic certainly can play that style.
Yeah.
He's certainly stronger in the later stages of the game, I feel like. His army control, kind of the game plan that he has going into a late game PvZ. Sometimes he even, could stand toe-to-toe against Cyril in late game PvZ, which basically nobody in the world can do, right? And so for Reynor, I think really, it's insane to say this in a group that also has Maru and GuMiho, but my perspective is that Classic might be really the final boss of Group B here for Reynor if he wants to make it to the round of 4, because PvZ, it's in a really tough spot right now for a lot of Zerg players.
Yeah.
Now we have new maps, we have a new patch where Zerg early game has gotten weakened a little bit, and people have been struggling in this matchup, especially on the Zerg side. Very few players have been able to adjust as well as somebody like Cyril has in this matchup, and so for Classic, who is arguably the best PvZ player in the world right now, I want to see what Reynor does here in these games. Is he going to try and play Classic style and go into the late game and beat him out in that? Is he going to go for something more aggressive? Will we see Roaches and Ravagers? Will we see some more aggro play from the Zerg? There's a lot of different ways he can approach this, but we were talking with Reynor before we actually went live today.
Yeah,
and
we
he's
saw him
feeling
in the green
confident.
room.
He's feeling confident.
Yeah, he wants it, by the way. He was initially saying, all right, let's get dinner if I win. And then after he said it, he said, when I win. When I win. Which,
I love it.
I like it. So, we're going to go into this match. I do want to point out, everybody's saying Protoss is really strong again. Maybe they're right this time for the first time ever. Maybe this is the story of the Zergs that cried wolf. Maybe eventually the Protosses were too strong, but they did it so many times I stopped believing them. Again, the winner of this is going to go up against a Terran here in the winner's match, either Maru or GuMiho. For now, Classic versus Reynor, best of 3, starting right now. Let's go. Okay, bottom left is Classic, top right is Reynor. We haven't had a lot of PvZs here to unpack. We've said this every day. We haven't had that many days of GSL, but every day we've had a GSL, we've said it. We're sort of dipping our toes back into the highest level pro gamer meta here for StarCraft 2. We had about almost 10, maybe 9 months off of StarCraft 2 on professional matches at this level entirely due to difficulties planning out the Esports World Cup at StarCraft 2. Tournaments like this are filter mechanisms to let players go into the Esports World Cup, where we do declare a world champion from Australia. Welcome back, Fred. Welcome back as well.
And one of the bonuses, I guess, of having 3 days of GSL back to back is we get the repeat customers here in the audience.
Yeah. No, it's nice. I mean, if you want to come down and do a deep dive, this is the way to do it, right?
I mean, it's the dream if you're having a vacation in Korea and you want to watch some StarCraft.
So, I was just saying, basically, we've had this long period of downtime. We don't know exactly how each of the matchups work or what the best strategies are, because we haven't had tournaments with stakes high enough to see players show us what that is. So I don't know exactly how PVZ is approached. Production's turning my volume off here. I can't hear myself.
Yeah,
Sorry to break the fourth wall, guys.
It might actually be.
Okay, it's no.
it's not that.
That's someone in the control room doing that. Okay.
That's sorry about that.
Whoever did that, never do that again.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an audio hiccup there.
Yeah, sorry.
I heard you fine. I'm hoping that the viewers also heard you fine.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of a.
I know.
For a second, I thought you had knocked your cable loose or something, but it's all fine now.
Anyways, let's see what exactly PVZ is going to look like here now.
Yes.
Reynor, and a lot of, not just Reynor, but I've seen some Zergs tell me that they feel like Protoss can kind of turtle and they don't have to do as much, and they're strong in the late game, which may compel Zergs to try to attack in earlier. We'll see if that's going to be the case this time around.
Yeah, so far for Classic, he's doing, pretty much the boilerplate opening that everybody's been doing in PvZ for a very long time in previous patches and also in this patch with like a 217 Stargate timing. You get one gateway up there with a couple of adepts, probably going to throw down a second gateway and eventually go for a third Nexus. This is about as standard as it gets in PvZ. This adept actually going to poke and prod a little bit forward here. He's wants to get that one Ling. Not going to get any damage, just take a little bit of a hull injury there, and the Oracle is going to pop. Now, keep in mind, we do have the energy recharge ability on the Nexus. This is a new ability that has replaced battery overcharge, which was the defensive ability that Nexus had previously. This is a new global cooldown spell that I believe it charges up 100 energy on any energy unit in the Protoss arsenal in a range around a Nexus every minute, and it costs the same energy as a Chrono Boost. And one of the things that I've been loving playing this in PvZ personally, just charging up sentries for timing attacks or just charging up oracles and being a real nuisance because they basically never run out of energy. But you can see on this oracle, it's just sitting at 64. So Classic instead opting to Chrono Boost other things like his worker production. This seems to be the way that pros are approaching the game at the level of a GSL code-ass caliber player, which is a little bit of a downer for me because I wanted to see a lot more shenanigans with this ability when it got added.
Yeah.
Like I said, it is something that I've been incorporating a lot in my gameplay because it's fun. But I guess it wasn't. I remember when we were initially talking about this patch, I told you I feel like it's the biggest change since we had the mothership core changed or removed.
Sure, yeah.
But I guess it really isn't so far here at the pro level, which a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is.
So, I mean, it's been a pretty uneventful start. That
Yeah.
might change when we have the double oracles fly in because you can one-shot drones. But for now, Reynor's defense has been really good. And he's been very good at preemptively pulling drones. He's basically not letting any opportunities arise here. The oracles are just going to glide through here to the side and continue to try to find any value. But so far, they've gotten none.
Yeah, just a little bit of lost mining time there. Is Plus going to come in again? Get one or two drones. 3 in total, and then skirts right back out. Reynor is really on point with his queen positioning and also Spore Crawler timing. Now, there are 7 adepts right here, right in the front, and I'm imagining the Blink's going to be on the way here. Yep, Blink starting up right now for Classic. Is he going to try and trade out any of these adepts? I mean, I guess you could shade them in right here. That's not too bad to surround here for the Lings, but there just aren't quite enough, so these adepts here for Classic are going to trade about as best they can. They will clean up these Lings. More adepts are going to be warped in to defend the third base Nexus, although he's going to need a little bit more reinforcements there. And now these 2 adepts are in the main base. There actually are no defenses, so additional drones going down.
Yeah, this is starting to stack up quite a bit.
Yeah, but the probes on the other side of the map, Reynor with just this very small Ling counterattack getting way more damage done than these adepts did at significantly less investment. So a very strong early game here for our European Zerg player.
Yeah, he's going to get his 4th base up now here at 12 o'clock.
And Classic's going back to really the bread and butter style that he has been doing at a lot of his PvZs lately, which is going for this fast third base, kind of the same typical PvZ opening that you would do in the previous patch, but then going into 6-gate Blink with +1 ground weapons into fast Storm. And this is where the energy recharge ability really starts to shine on the Nexus. Of course, as we saw with Classic trying to do his Oracle harassment there on Reynor, he didn't really have an opening to even utilize the energy if he had extra energy on those Oracles. It's one of the reasons why he was prioritizing Chrono Boost. But as soon as that Templar Archives is done and Classic starts warping in Templar, I imagine he is just going to be recharging them basically nonstop. And it's basically like having maybe another Templar and a half worth of energy regeneration happening in Storms. Like it is a lot of additional energy these High Templar are going to have on the field. And it's kind of insane to see the units tab as we saw there in a moment. I think it was like 3 Stalkers, the initial 2 Oracles, and 4 Templar. He just warped in a couple more Stalkers. Like, we are going really heavy into the energy building macro here for the Protoss player. And this signals to me that Classic's going to want to play a much more macro-focused game. Now, Reynor behind all of this, he is going into a Spire. He's baking a lot of gas. Now, a lot of the European Zerg players like to go for this Spire tech and just make like 8, 9 Mutalisks as kind of a diversionary tactic, and then do some kind of other play on the ground. But this is a lot of gas banked up here for Reynor. I'm wondering if he's going to commit even more into the Mutas. He did get the cancel right there on the 4th Nexus. Now coming in with a Ling drop in the main base. Classic not expecting this. More probes going to be going down. More mining time going to be lost. Spire is done. Now how many units are we going to have coming out here for Reynor? 12 Mutas. That's a big commitment, Tasteless.
Yeah, 12 Mutas could really blindside the Protoss here. I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of Templars at play here. We've had this trend actually in ASL. Every once in a while, these two sister tournaments, they mirror each other. Stuff that's happening in StarCraft 2 impacts StarCraft 1, or StarCraft 1 impacts StarCraft 2. And this has been a big trend as you basically, as a mid-game push comes out, because what Classic's doing isn't that different from what Protosses do in a StarCraft 1 match. But you try to come out and you snipe the Templars. You snipe the key units to let you control huge crowds of Zerg units. And once you snipe that, it's very easy to just kill the rest of the army off. Also, the Mutas can fly into the main. That's going to pin the Protoss back over there trying to defend.
Yeah, force static defense on the Protoss side of things, potentially get a lot of damage done. Now, cannons are warping in here in the main base, but they are not done yet, so recall is going to come in. Keep in mind, Reynor behind this, he is not building more Mutas. Yes, he is getting air weapons, but I think that's more of a late game play. He's getting +2 melee attack, he's adding in roaches, and this is really just kind of a diversionary tactic that opens up the opportunity for attacks like this one. More probes going down. Add that 4th base, saturation basically immediately knocked out. Now that was a massive storm right there on those links. So many of them going down, which sure, that's a little pin in the cap of Classic, but 25 probes have fallen and counting. Wow, Reynor with these Mutas coming in. This is such a big win. We're hitting 30 workers dead. This is like an unbelievable amount of economic damage happening to Classic. He's on 3 Nexus too. That Nexus fell at the 4th base. He can't even really replenish this eco.
This is going so well here for Reynor. I mean, he's basically come through. You know, like in Blade when he threw the Ninja Star and he like killed 3 vampires? That's what he did to Classic's base. Like, Classic's in such bad condition right now. He's at about 130 supply. Reynor's maxed out.
Yeah, Classic
and Classic's pushing.
Yeah, he needs to pull the trigger and move across the map. Now, I think Reynor is looking at this like, wait, I can actually reinvest in a Mutas. The Mutas were so successful that I can commit even more to this and try and handle this attack coming in. Now, there's only 3 Archons. He can magic box those. It looks like these Templar have 2 Storms in total in the bag. First one, pretty good. Second one, mostly just on Broodlings and Roaches, so really not the critical connections Classic needed. Mostly just using those Storms to try and zone the Zerg away to make Classic's way back to his 4th base, the retreat a little bit more safe. Still, Reynor really good control. Going to force those Templar to morph into an Archon here. Oh, even the Bile coming down. Going to be able to snipe that Archon as well. This is a scary Zerg army coming in. It's going to get a lot of value. Getting a surround on the Archons like this one. These are units that Classic really cannot afford to lose. Look at this, even with a shield battery and 2 cannons. Reynor has enough units. He's like, no, I'm just going to park these right here on your mineral line. I'll take down the stack defense. The Glaives are also going to be sniping your probes. Reynor is playing a phenomenal game number 1 here against one of the best macro, if not the best macro PvZ players in the world right now in Classic.
I gotta say, man, this is looking so scary what Reynor's doing. He's gonna be able to kill off even more workers. Again, you just ignore the cannons. One cannon, you will lose all the probes before that cannon can ever kill your Mutas. So, you know, from here, it's going to be the Stalkers all the way back over here. It looks like the Mutas got fished back into the fight for a little bit, so they're going to be wiped. But, you know, Reynor's just attacking in so many different positions. And this is, like, no longer a game where the Protoss can even push. We actually have Ultralisks popping out right now. So, like, Reynor, I mean, this should be a very easy closer. He would have to really misplay from here, and it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if Classic can come up with something, but as far as I can tell, the damage has already been done.
Man, if you're a Classic probe in this game spawning from the Nexus, there's like a greater than 50% chance that you die before 10 minutes in this match. I think Classic has literally lost at least half of the workers that he's made over the course of this entire game. I don't know if I've ever seen this effective harassment from a Zerg player in PvZ in I don't know how many years. I mean, Reynor has just been so on point to take down a player of Classic's caliber with attack after attack like this.
I've lost count of how many great attacks came in here.
It's like 60 plus probes that have died tasteless.
It's crazy. It really is crazy.
Oh, look at this army. There's so many ultras coming in. There's so much hit points on this Zerg army. The storms are fantastic here for Classic, but the ultras, they barely care. Like, yeah, the lings of the roaches fall down. A lot of damage is being done, but at the end of the day, Classic is still sitting at 46 workers in total to the 81 of Reynor, who is expanding again now to the 3 o'clock position, just basically completely consuming his side of the map. And for Classic, I know he's throwing down like 2, maybe even 3 robotics facilities behind all of this. He's doing a great job, by the way, of just persevering through all of this torment that Reynor is putting him through. But like, what is he gonna have to deal with these ultras? There's gonna be like 8 ultras on the field in a moment. Carapace level 2 about to finish here. We have +3 melee attack getting ready to be done for the Zerg. I mean, Reynor is just firing on all cylinders right now. It is really awkward trying to attack into a position like this one with basically just ultras. But, oh man, with the fungals too, you can see Reynor almost baiting Classic back with the blinks like, hey, my ultras are pretty low, man. Don't you want to try and blink forward and kite these guys down, and then catch them with a fungal, clean them all up?
You know, it's interesting, like, Reynor is so far beyond any point where he can lose this, but he's playing very carefully. He's making absolutely sure that every move is just a win more move. He's not going to overextend, but I think we're basically at the tipping point here. You know, both of these bases can't really be defended. There's a stream of red units coming from the north down into the south here to clean this out. So we're going to have GG in a second. And we're going to be going into game 2. Right now, Reynor looking extremely strong.
I mean, just a phenomenal game. And I also love the approach that he had here throughout the mid game after he got this basically insurmountable lead. Was he didn't go like tunnel vision and be like, okay, I just need to take good fights, I need to take good fights. He's like, no, like my economy is so much better than yours, Classic. I'm gonna throw armies at you. And we've all seen Reynor micro in a world championship scenario, and he's like one of the best Zergs in the world, if not the best. It's like him and Cyril are probably the top 2 Zergs when it comes to control. You see these fights, Reynor can take better fights than this, but he's in this scenario, he's like, no, I'm just gonna keep throwing armies at you because mathematically, there is no way you're going to be able to stop this.
Yeah, and I mean, at worst, it's going to be an even trade, right?
Yeah, like he's throwing away mutas. He's throwing away mutas for like for probes and stalkers in the main base of Classic. He's like sending auxiliary troops of ultras and lings to these bases. Just be like, yeah, I'll just trade these out. It doesn't matter if it's not cost effective. I am literally just too big to fail. That was an epic game number 1. From Reynor. I'm telling you, Chase, if he keeps playing like that, he might be the first player advancing from this group. That was crazy.
It was impressive. We're going to go to game 2 now. Let's see if Classic can have a cleaner opening, because otherwise he's never going to be able to catch up to Reynor. Our game's load up, guys. Best of 3, continuing on with these 2. Okay, switching spots here. This time, Reynor in the top right.
Or Classic.
Classic in the top right. Reynor in the bottom left. Just testing you. Well done.
I'm watching Tasteless.
You passed my first test. It's test. So, you know, Reynor just had some great defense early and then counter harass into just kind of harassing most of the game. I don't think that's really a game that you go back and you kind of talk about who teched into what, other than the big muta switch there. But, you know, Classic was just getting black eye after black eye.
Yeah, the muta switch, or not even a switch, this is the muta tech, the 12 mutas coming out so early, paired with a ling drop in the main base, was just like this wrecking ball into Classic's economy, and there was no stopping Reynor from there. He did not let up on the aggression. Now, coming into today, we haven't seen Classic in GSL because he did so well in the qualifiers. He just seeded himself directly into the round of 8. We had 4 players do this: Classic, GuMiho, Beyond, and Hero this season. Because of their performance in the qualifiers, when we had a winners, basically a winner's bracket in the qualifiers, he beat Rogue twice, 2-0 and 2-1. He even beat Reynor 2-0 to get into the top 8. And now we are here a couple of weeks later, and Reynor won Game 1 in such dominating fashion. It feels like Reynor's made some real strides in his PBZ to go from beating a Classic who looked basically unstoppable in this matchup over the past couple of weeks into really a stunning Game 1 win.
I mean, he's definitely locked in right now. He looks extremely strong. You know, Classic, let's see what kind of game he wants to play. He did have the composition to basically start to try to push, but he got beat up so badly over and over. It kind of never blossomed into anything, you know. Reynor was just continuously shutting everything down. I mean, I think if Classic is going to be more viable, my volume's getting turned down again. Are you?
Yeah, I'm hearing this.
I don't know what's going on in our production room. But
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This, I can't hear myself now. Can you?
Yeah, I'll contact them.
Yeah, send him a text. I think I'm starting to get my volume back here now.
All right, so Classic right now setting a probe down to the third base of Reynor. And it looks like basically the same build Classic is doing compared to game number 1. He's going into the Stargate tech. He still has the 1 gateway, slowly trickling out of depths. Here are the natural expansion of the Zerg. And I'm imagining that he's probably going to have basically the same game plan. Classic in a lot of his macro PBZs thus far, GSL and also in the qualifiers, he's been playing this style where he goes for a greedy third base, a greedy fourth base. He techs into Storm on 6 gateways and then basically tries to play a macro game from there. If he spots the Zerg going into a fast Hive tech with Lurkers, he's not afraid to pull the trigger and get a second Stargate and a Fleet Beacon really quickly. Basically, like, as soon as that fourth base is going up. He's a very adaptable PBZ player. And for sorry, going back to that game number 1 against Reynor, I feel like we didn't really get to see Classic flesh out his game plan and play to the capabilities that we typically see from him in PBZ, just because Reynor was so effective with that initial muta push. The 12 mutas going into the fourth base, the Lings coming into the main base with the drop. I mean, it was just so much momentum building there for the Zerg. And so for Classic, if I'm looking at this game now here in game number 2, I'm thinking, okay, there isn't some kind of big... I'll hold that thought, actually. I thought for a moment that Nexus was going to go down. My perspective here as Classic is, you know, the game plan is solid, but I cannot be caught off guard by something like that muta switch, like those Ling drops in the main base.
Yeah.
I need to be rock solid into the early game so that I can kind of survive this very dangerous era of PBZ when you play the greedy PBZ style that Classic goes for, and kind of blossom from there.
We've got the 2 Oracles zipping around here. Again, it's, you know, Reynor just so good at the positioning. By the way, you basically always see like 1 or 2 drones killed. It's kind of impossible to prevent. But so far, Reynor's been pretty spotless in his approach to this. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, there's some ideas that are kind of at play here from the previous game. But this time around, we've got development happening from Classic. Now, the Zerg Harass, the Zerg Punish hasn't come in yet. That won't really be able. That's not something that, can occur. Even there, last second, only gets 1 drone stun. That can't really happen until there's probes mining at the 3rd. And so we're going to see how good these jabs, these pokes are going to be, you know, when those come in.
I think for Classic, the development so far is basically mirrored. I wasn't watching the production tab. Yeah, there it is. Templar Archives just gets thrown down. So just like game number 1, it is going to be 6 gateways, Blink, +1 ground weapons, and a really fast Templar Archives. And I'm imagining that behind this, he's probably going to try and go for basically the same quote-unquote greedy play of a 4th base. Now, Reynor, last game, we all saw what he was able to do with a Ling drop in the main base and a big muta switch. And this time it's going to be a different tech. This time we have the Hydralisk Den coming in.
Yeah, he's going to be going for some more burst damage here. Maybe Hydraling Bane trying to come in and push into these areas.
Yeah, it's again... Okay. All right, so Hydralisk Den once again coming through here for Reynor. +1 melee attack about halfway done here for the Zerg player. And I'm going to keep my eye right now on the worker count here of Reynor. He's sitting at 67, a couple more drones trickling in. Classic with this group of Stalkers is looking to get some damage done, but really the attacking capability isn't too great here for Protoss. Classic, he's just trying to delay this base as much as he can. Oh, Stasis Trap right there gets a couple of these Lings. Is your mic good? Is your mic good again, Tasteless?
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Sorry, we usually don't have tech issues like this in the GSL. It's a little bit. All right.
So we've got a small push coming in here, and it looks like this isn't going to quite be enough to get this done. He's going to have a couple more stuns coming in, so the Lings are going to be frozen. But, you know, with this number of Stalkers coming in here, I think he's going to have to go back. There's a big counterattack happening over here. We're going to see how this does.
All right. Reynor posturing over here towards 12 o'clock position. Classic, just like the previous game, going to try and take this fourth base. Storm about 5 seconds away from completion. Now, Hydra speed also nearly done. 75 drones in total. There are more drones being built behind this here for Reynor, so he's not fully committed to this attack, but he would love to get a cancel on this base. It's just, I think with the storm timing here, Tasteless, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Reynor to actually break through. And actually behind all this, he's also going into Baneling, so it's going to be Ling, Baneling, Hydra here for Reynor. He's also going into the Infestation Pit. This is a really powerful army composition that Reynor's going for, but it's kind of a glass cannon-y composition that Zerg's going to have, because Classic is going to have so many Storms in the bag. He's got 6 Templars. No doubt he's been energy charging a lot of these. You can see there's no energy bars above, I think, 2 of those Templar. That means they are max energy right now in this moment. And that means that for Reynor, whether he's on defense or on offense, he is going to need to be so solid with his control, because Lings will basically just get evaporated.
So we've got the push coming down now. He's going to try to approach into this area. He's going to try to push this 6 o'clock spot. We've got a small amount of Lings and Hydra's counterattacking.
Whoa. Huge stasis trap catches a lot of Reynor's flanking army, and that means that he can't go for this round right now. He might have to forfeit this. Oh no! So many Lings get caught by that storm. Fantastic storm from Classic, and now they're going to be charging in. But for Reynor, again, there isn't really any kind of beefy army. With this force, it's just Hydras and Lings. There isn't a lot of HP. There isn't a lot of sustain. Now Classic with his Warp Prism all the way over here on the left side, gonna be able to attack this hatchery with the attack upgrades from these Zealots. He can focus fire that down very quickly. Behind it is transitioning. Second Stargate coming in. Fleet Beacon coming in. Classic dealing a 1-2 punch right now to our European Zerg player.
I mean, this is looking so strong here. Right now, we've got Reynor basically down to 3 bases with Classic on 4. And at any angle, Classic can come in here and try to press this and do even more damage. We've got the Fleet Beacon coming in here, so tech after this is looking very strong as well.
I'm liking Classic's position a lot in this game right now. This is really where he wanted the previous map to go before Reynor basically decked him with the mutas and the Ling drop in the main base and the mounting pressure from there. This is Classic's game plan. This is where he thrives the most. When he's on 4 bases, he's got his double Stargate pumping Tempest, and now he's nearing max. He's doing what is basically his MO here in the late game. It's where he doesn't rely on a lot of supply to defend the auxiliary bases. Classic is one of these Protoss players that almost plays kind of like a Neve-ish style of PvZ, where he throws down so many cannons, so many shield batteries on the flanking bases, and just anchors the position with 1 or 2 Templar. It's very difficult for Zerg to attack into those spots unless they have something like Lurkers or Broodlords.
So the Ling counterattacks that come in here, he can get a surround over on these this one Immortal. Reynor is in a really tough spot. He's going to try to grow out in both sides, in both positions. And he's going to have to basically keep Classic occupied back at home. Now, so far, this has been pretty winning right now for Classic, but if Reynor can sustain and possibly hold off this next big attack, he might be okay.
Yeah, but Classic actually, I thought he was going for Tempest. It's in fact Carrier Tech coming in Tasteless. +1 air weapons, Mothership, a 3rd Stargate. We already have the first carriers on the board. Now, this army has a lot more firepower than Tempest. This is, you know, if you play a Tempest style of PvZ, usually you're trying to snipe key units with the range of the Tempest. You're trying to take down bases. It's something that you do to get a lot of chip damage against the Zerg and slowly edge them out in a protracted late game. Carriers, these are much more fighting units. They have a lot of DPS. They're very tanky. They're also not very mobile. They're not very versatile. Okay, Reynor coming in. He spots the Templar. Now the Storms are actually going to be landing right there on the Banelings. That's going to allow those Lings to basically charge in right here and go toe-to-toe with the cannons, with the Zealots. That's going to force in a very big warp in here from Classic to defend this base. A big point of contention for Zerg, or for Protoss, excuse me, taking this PvZ style is you really need to get a 5th base up to secure that extra gas income. The playstyle of Templars, Archons, and triple Stargate is so gas intensive that if you're sitting on just 4 base, you're eventually going to run out of steam. You know, warping in mass rounds of Zealots is only good for so long. You need to be able to replace those high-tech units. And that's why Reynor is really trying to levy a lot of pressure here on this 5th base, but so far Classic has been on point with the defense. Reynor does have a better bank, but the army that Classic has assembled is going to be much better, I think, in the initial engagement.
So the push is going to come through now. The question is going to be, how prepared is Reynor for this, whether it's with counterattacks, whether it's with hitting this from several different angles. Reynor's now grown really well into his side of the map. In fact, he's sort of outpaced some of the growth that I kind of thought was going to come in here. Now we've got a big warp in here from Classic. He's going to try to come in from 6 o'clock. The Lings are going to try to hit the probes over here at the 3rd. Zealots chasing this back for from the time being. By the way, Reynor has a lot of minerals banked. They're about even in gas banked. But, you know, that could, as an example, be a ton of Hydras down the road. He could have a big explosion in supply right after this fight finishes up.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Classic's able to get damage done like this with the Warp Prism, as his army's just been really roaming over the top side of the map, but now he's really posturing to attack this 9 o'clock position. Actually, is he going to commit to an attack? Time Warp and Storm could be a possibility here. Okay, he's going to cloak. There are a lot of overseers. Oh, he's actually going for a recall with the army there in the Mothership to try and work his way back. Some fancy micro here from Classic to kite his way away. Now, there's a lot of Hydras. If they walk into those storms, they got to be really careful. They can take a ton of damage.
I mean, he was chased away, but gosh, it's going to be hard to imagine the Protoss advancing on that position from here. He's going to try to come down now and get that Nexus. I think the Protoss is pretty ready to defend that. Meanwhile, a pickup over here. The Warp Prism's going to have to back off.
Kind of a funny moment there with Classic retreating with a recall on the Mothership. It's not something you see very often.
It's the first time for everything, right? That was definitely one of them.
Now, Classic, his mineral bank is really low at this stage in the game because he hasn't really been as cost efficient as he would like to be into the Zerg army. Reynor has been doing a great job of controlling this basically glass cannon force besides the Ultras. But right now, I think this might be the first Spire completing for Reynor. He is really far behind on the air upgrades. Yeah, that is the only Spire. So we have no air weapons, we have no air armor, and usually it's something like a big swell of Corruptors that is going to be anchoring, you know, Zerg's ability to take down key units like these 8 carriers. And so I'm a little bit scared right now for Reynor Tasteless, even though his bank is massive. It doesn't feel like he has a very good answer to the Sky Toss army.
Well, this is, you know, what we were talking about. I thought we might have it in game 1, but we're going to have it in game 2, but this kind of powering style.
Whoa.
Oh my God, you could not have eaten more damage from Storms there. A big victory there for the Protoss, but at the same time, look at all these little tactical battles that are turning out victorious here for Reynor. He's killing probes, he's killed Nexuses. 12 o'clock is almost gone.
Wait a second, Reynor is remaxing on 7 more Ultras. Wait, how is he going to deal with the carriers? 8 Hydras are in production, but I don't think we have basically any anti-air here for Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of carriers coming out here. He goes ahead and takes that Nexus out, but the Death Ball is what's going to have to be dealt with here. It is slowly pushing across the map.
I mean, the army value right now for Reynor is so thin, and that's because the Ultras are only just now about to pop, but in terms of anti-air, there really isn't any answer except these 12 Hydras that we have on the ground. It's basically just pure Ultra Queen now coming in. Time Warp is huge right there on the range units. Ultra's just walking into an unbelievable number of Archons. The carrier's dishing out so much damage in the back, and Classic able to play the game that he wanted to play there in map number 2 and is going to tie it up 1-1. Man, Classic fighting back in a big way.
That was pretty incredible to see. You know, really a tale of persevering with Classic there. You know, sometimes you look at StarCraft 2, most games you go, okay, he's losing this space, he's got that. Really, that was about Classic creating the ultimate unit composition. And with that comp, I mean, it sort of didn't matter what kind of finesse, what kind of guerrilla tactics Reynor had, because the Death Ball was there. You don't need any bases once that army is completed. So we're tied up 1-1 right now. Could be anybody's game.
Man, that was a scary late game coming in from Classic. And also, the decision to go for carriers instead of Tempest, I feel, was a big game changer in that match because, you know, the style that Reynor had played, should Classic have gone into Tempest instead of carriers, then suddenly the DPS of that Protoss army maybe just isn't high enough to really fight down all of those Ultras and all of those Ultras fast enough to make cost-efficient trades. But you saw Classic fighting with just an unbelievable... His army was basically Archon Carrier Storm, which is just insane. There was one fight where Reynor dropped 70 supply from 200 to 130 in the blink of an eye. I feel like Reynor, if he wants to come back here in set number 3, cannot let Classic unlock all the gemstones in that Infinity Gauntlet. He's got to take the fight to him a lot earlier. Let's go into map number 3 and see who's going to be advancing to the winner match.
All right, this is it with these two. Who is going to make it to that winner's match? Classic in the top right, Reynor in the bottom left here. And, you know, we had two pretty different games. Reynor won by basically preventing endgame from ever being possible, right? He was so good at harassing, so good at, you know, just getting in there with enough lings and killing enough probes and always keeping Protoss running back home and trying to defend. Classic played cleaner in defense, and even though there was periods where it looked like Reynor's counters were kind of crazy, Nexuses were falling all over the place, you know, he had the right number of carriers. I never got to count the Archons when the fight happened. There were a lot underneath the carriers, but, you know, you see an angle like that, and it's like, oh, yeah, how do you get in there? The splash damage is so optimized in those positions. Everything just kind of melts.
Yeah, and the late Spire coming in there for Reynor, too, is just... It feels bad, because when you commit so many resources to the Ultras and to the Hydras on the ground like that, you really need to get a lot of value. Adidas. You need to get a lot of value in that initial fight. The way that most Zerg players, Zerg players in most situations would deal with a Skytoss fleet like that is, you know, with Spellcaster, with Viper Abducts, with Corruptors trying to catch the carriers out of position. But in a situation where you're running basically pure Ultra Hydra as a comp, I mean, we saw some fights where the Hydras just got obliterated by storms. And the moment that happened, there's basically no more anti-air. You have nothing to even shoot down the interceptors at that stage, let alone get the kills on the carriers. And the firepower of the Protoss Golden Armada was just way too much. And that is really the style that has everybody scared of Classic. This is what Rogue was talking about in his interview earlier. It's why he said that even though Hero's a scary opponent, he was happier to play Hero than he was Classic, because Classic is so deadly in that late game. And so for Reynor here, I'm wondering, you know, do you try to make an adjustment in the late game? Because I don't think if we go to a late game PvZ, we're going to see the same kind of Ultraless composition from Reynor unless it's way more aggro. Or do you go back to something that's going to be, you know, more mid-game focused? Are we going to go into, you know, another swell of mutas and then to an army on the ground? Are we going to see Roach Ravager coming in?
Yeah, that's
from
true.
Reynor?
He doesn't have to do the same kind of composition. You know, people will talk about phases of the game. You know, like, oh, this endgame comp, it's too hard to fight, and, you know, it's not fair. Well, then you got to avoid getting into that kind of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of maps where it's not fair the longer the game goes on. The other race is incentivized to push. Or, you know, or try to do some kind of a timing attack that can close it out. We're still early on here. A lot of the fundamentals of this game are similar to game 1 and 2. We've got the Oracles coming out, probably going to be 2 maximum, floating around the map trying to get kills. And we're going to have some Lings with speed here, just like the previous game. Reynor can't really do that much to the, as far as harass goes, until there's like a third Nexus up. You need a couple of different targets. You need enough spots for Protoss to try to protect, where maybe Zerg can find some kind of opportunities there.
Yeah, at this stage in the game, Reynor is just going to try and button up his defense and get as many drones as he possibly can. Classic's been doing a very good job, just in PvZ in general, of not really overextending himself too much. Except sometimes he goes for that greedy fourth base. That's what we saw. That's what we saw Reynor get to exploit in game number 1. But typically, it's hard to shut down the fast third Nexus coming in here from Protoss, just because the Oracles, especially with energy recharge, are so good at stopping the Lings. Now, if Reynor did want to go for some kind of aggressive play targeting that third base, it might be something like a Queen Walk, or something like Overlord Speed with those queens dropping over the third base, but I feel like we're probably not going to see that here in the match point. We also don't have a lot more queens in production, so it seems much more like Reynor is going to be gunning for more of a standard mid game. And Classic, meanwhile, back at home, he is going for the Twilight Council. Now, typically he throws down the Forge about the same time that he gets that Twilight. In this match, he is not doing that just yet. So I'm wondering if this might be a little bit of a deviation from the game plan that he executed both in Game 1 and Game number 2. We have to keep our eyes on that production tab and see exactly what the follow-up will be here from Protoss, and it is going to be Glaives. Korean casters are so excited about that, man.
The Glaive hype there.
Yeah. They're a big
the
fan.
English casting has never been this hype for Glaives ever, but this is the time.
I'm actually thinking back to you and Dan casting, and you guys, I feel like you hated the Glaive build much in PvC.
Artosis especially. But we had like a lot of games where it was like we saw every version of it just not work.
It just would always
least in
lose.
GSL.
Yeah, you guys, you're absolutely right about it too.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, this is kind of an interesting twist here in the build order selection from Classic, because what this means is that right now he's not dialed into endgame. You know, he actually wants to come in here and try to blindside Reynor. I think Reynor's generally pretty good against this type of play. You know, he's a really hard Zerg to pressure.
Yeah, he's very smart. I think he also just had a safety Roach Warren finish. I call it a safety because he hasn't really committed to any Roaches just yet. And I feel like as soon as his spider senses start tickling, like they probably are when he sees Adepts getting warped in, we're going to see Roaches queued up. And yeah, immediately 4 Roaches in production. Spore Crawler here at the wall and the natural expansion. Another evolution chamber. This is similar to what we saw Rogue do last week in GSL, trying to shut down the opportunities for the Glaives to shade. Now we do have 5 queens here. Those 5 queens are going to be hard pressed to stop all these Adepts plus those Oracles. Adept Shades coming in. Oh, wait. Oh, it's not fully walled in, but I don't know if Classic realizes that. Instead, he's just going to be going for the constructing building right here, the Evolution Chamber. It is going to get taken out. No cancel. Glaive's going to be set, or Glaive, excuse me, Shade's going to be sent here into the main base of Zerg. Roach is a little bit slow to the party. Reynor a little bit out of position on this one because I don't think he was anticipating Classic just barreling through the front door. Oh, and even the stasis wards over here. They were able to catch this initial swell of Lings. 5 drones going down to the main base. Behind this, I'm sure Classic is transitioning. But I gotta say, even though Classic did kind of a clever play, just breaking through the natural expansion and then going into the main base, he hasn't killed that many drones. Now he is getting more damage here in the main. 4, 5, maybe even 6 more drones will fall if he's able to properly focus fire these down. But at the end of the day, you know, Reynor's going to do another round of like 10+ drones, and things are going to be relatively equal.
Yeah, I think he can bounce back from that pretty easily. The Gateway Explosion is coming in now.
Wow, look at the units lost. It is literally 1 resource difference.
That's so crazy. So, you know, I mean, I think it wasn't a bad attack in, but I think Reynor handled it so well, he's sort of already back in this, you know? And now it's going to be, you know, the Glaives phase of the game is gone. You can't go Adept Glaives forever. It's kind of like going Roaches the whole game. I mean, eventually, you know, they're not going to be as useful in the same way. So the Oracles are going to come through here. They're actually not killing any drones yet. Bit of a miss micro there. This Queen can come up here and snipe this. This has to be able to.
Yeah,
this,
Queens are snipers, dude. That's.
You know, it's funny in StarCraft 2. Sometimes it's really hard to tell if something can hit in those vacant areas over there or not.
Yeah, it is difficult. I don't know. I just always, if there's a Queen walking there, I just always assume it's going to be able to hit whatever. Yeah. Their range always feels like at least half a range longer than it actually is. Those, yeah, they check those little darts far. And for Classic back at home, he's taking the 4th base. He's going into +2 in Storm, and he's basically going back into kind of the same relative late game plan that he did in the previous matches. Actually, these Lings going to be trading out pretty effectively here with these Stalkers before retreating away. I'm just going to trade these out for another probe. Okay. But yeah, for Classic, I mean, things are relatively equal. We have the Hydra Tech coming in here for Reynor. He's going into Hive. Word count is about where you would expect it to be. Classic getting a couple more drones here with this Oracle all the way on the left side. And things are relatively calming down to where you would expect them to be at. We have 4 Templar. We have a little bit more Link Stalkers than normal. But besides that, I feel like this is still really anybody's game.
Yeah, this so far, it's been probably one of the most interesting early games we've had here between these two. So, right now the Roaches, Ravagers, some Hydras here are kind of roaming around. I think Reynor's looking pretty strong as far as his development goes. we do have a lot of Hydras here. It would be a mistake to try to push in too far on that. But, you know, with the Ravagers, you can kind of just generate biles over and over again, and that creates this area that's, you know, it's not smart to try to push through.
I wonder if Classic is just going to commit to the attack. Oh, that was a huge Storm Tasteless. A ton of damage being done on that army. And yeah, Classic just coming in here with the Arc. Now, he actually doesn't even have a Warp Prism just yet. I think the Robotics Facility just finished. But still no Warp Prism on the field. This is just pure army coming in from Classic cross map. And he's catching Reynor in kind of a vulnerable stage. Reynor sitting at 90 drones and also going into high-tech lurkers. So this is a moment of vulnerability. Stasis Trap going to try and zone away the army that got pushed all the way back into the third base. Very smartly using just one RO8 to defuse that, but Classic's already been able to move up into the natural expansion now. Okay, the lurkers are done tasteless. Reynor pulling some of the drones. He is getting a really good arc. The Storm is still fantastic. It's hard to say who's getting the better trade on this one because it's a lot of very valuable units that are being lost here for Classic, but he's killing so many drones. The Storms are getting so much damage done. Eventually, Reynor will be able to clean this up. What an interesting engage. I feel like Classic is probably better here. I mean, so many drones, 20 in total. The whole mineral line just went down, and his army is somehow still standing.
You know, it's kind of crazy. You see Stalkers wedged in the middle of everything. Usually that's a bad sign, right? Stalkers tend to stay on the periphery during a fight. But, you know, in that game, he got in there. He did a decent amount of damage. The Stalker number is getting lower.
This is crazy. He blinks down into the triangle third right now. The lurkers, they're so immobile. They don't have the high-tech range yet, too, so they're having such a hard time chasing this down. And Classic, with one of the more awkward and obtuse timings that we've seen in PvZ, catches us off guard and also catches Reynor off guard. I mean, what? Talk about exploiting a moment of vulnerability in your opponent. That was some really gutsy decision play from Classic, going for that mover with no Warp Prism, just pushing across the map with basically pure Blink Stalkers, 4 Templar or so for Storm, and pushing right into the heart of the beast, basically wiping out 2.5 mineral lines worth of drones. And now behind that, he's still sitting on 4 bases, but oh man, the economic damage dealt to Reynor is just so massive. And now Reynor is stuck in this very awkward position where you know he wants to drone back up, resaturate these Vespene geysers, resaturate these mineral lines, but you don't know what Classic's gonna do. You only have 7 lurkers on the ground. You have very few units to accompany them. How is Reynor do you walk the fine line of re-droning your economy and also staying safe against what could be just an immediate follow-up attack from Protoss?
Well, Protoss is going to try to move in again. I mean, the supplies tell a dark side of this as far as Reynor goes, because this looks like it could be very strong. And, you know, right now Zerg doesn't have a whole lot to work with. This is a pretty sophisticated army. The Immortals are going to be quite strong against anything like Lurkers coming up here. It's a lot of Hydras. You know, I'm not saying Reynor can't bounce back, but it does look a little bit scary, especially when you see Protoss's growth on their side of the map, especially with Tempest now coming into play. A Nidus Worm has been thrown down. Now, that could be very, very strong if he can get it set up. I think the only Overlord, yeah, it just got killed. We didn't see it in the screen, but it was on the mini-map. The only way to get that Nidus into the main was with an Overlord that was shot down. So, I mean, the Nidus, you know, it's a tech you can't really unlock the full advantage of if you can't get somewhere inside the main to do that. So the counterplay right now is going to be irrelevant until we see a Nidus network start, and the push from Protoss is coming.
Yeah, I think Classic's just going to start chipping away at this army here with the Tempest. He's producing 3 at a time, 6 in total on the field. Mothership being built right now as well. Oh, this is just such a tough spot here for Reynor. He doesn't really have the economy to get things like the spellcasters that he needs to deal with this. And Classic just using the architecture of the map so brilliantly here. I mean, the Storm so that the Hydras can't close in on the Tempest, and then the Tempest just slowly working their way against the Lurkers, and now that Overseer has skirted its way all the way across the map. I don't know if Classic has realized this. Oh, he sees all these units moving in. There's no reaction in the main base yet of Classic. Somehow he just did not notice this. He's so focused on this attack on the front. Now he can kill the Nidus Network here in the front line, but the main base is basically forfeit. This is the Nexus even that is building the mothership, so that's going to get canceled. Keep in mind, recall is a possibility here for Classic to either the natural expansion or the third base with those Tempests. There isn't a lot of anti-air here for Reynor in the main base of Classic. And now we're in this awkward base trade scenario where, yes, Classic is losing a lot of infrastructure, but he's rebuilding the Fleet Beacon. He's rebuilding 3 Stargates elsewhere on the map. And Reynor is also losing all of his tech. Infestation Pit is going down. Hydralisk Den inevitably also going to go down here in the natural expansion. Hive Tech, if that goes down, I feel like Classic is basically doing this. Reynor's making a great play right now in the main base, but at the end of the day, I don't know how he is going to beat this army that Protoss has assembled, especially with the bank that Classic has.
You know, he's managed to lose so much. Both of them have. Reynor's going to keep pushing in. We're at the Hive Tech now. I mean, this is the very beating heart of the Zerg's base. You rarely ever see Zergs lose this. I think there's just too much here for Classic. There's too much, cannons. He's rebuilding infrastructure. Basically, Reynor doesn't have anything. I think Classic is going to close this game out. This position just unwinnable. I can't imagine a world where Reynor would be able to move across the map and hit so many different bases and also fight off the army that Classic already has.
Only 13 Hydras on the field. That number is now 12. What you see is basically what you get in terms of Zerg and Classic with a recall going to clean up this invading force that was able to take down the main base, take down the natural expansion, but could not break the Protoss Armada, and Reynor try as he might. I mean, there is just no income left. There's no way to kill the Tempest in the air, and I think we just see Reynor basically digesting the loss right now. GG is called. Reynor made that a hell of a series, especially with that win in game number 1, but Classic showing why he is so feared in late game PBZ.
I gotta say, man, Classic looked so strong back there. Just kind of doing that powering play. I'm not going to try to kill you off early. I might try to hurt you with the Adepts, but even when that didn't work, just keep developing, keep getting all the pieces to the puzzle. That push-in with the Stalkers was interesting. You never see Stalkers in the middle of everything that Zerg has. And he's kind of blinking from one side and blinking from the other side. And he's kind of collapsing further and further in. But in the end, the trades worked out really nicely, and he was able to rampage through the natural into the main, kill a lot of drones. When the attack was finally wiped out, it was too much damage. The follow-up attack killed him. Guys, we're going to go to Maru versus GuMiho. TVT coming up next. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We saw a fantastic PVZ back there. Classic really showing how to beat a Zerg of Reynor's caliber. Basically relying on really perfected timing attacks. And then, of course, having this sort of endgame death ball that just sort of mows down everything in its path. Reynor in that last game tried to do a Nidus counterattack. I think it wasn't a bad idea, but the problem is there's too many bases for Classic here. So, you know, Classic, even if he loses his main, he's got half the map. And Classic's death ball is basically able to systematically destroy Reynor's bases in a very straightforward fashion. You just aim move through everything. So, you know, the base trade that went much more quickly into the favor there of Classic.
Yeah, Classic just has really good game sense there, especially in game number 3. Going for that timing push with no Warp Prism, with just an army of Stalkers and a couple of Storms, is something that we really don't see that often, especially in Korean PvZ, I feel like. It's just it's a very awkward timing that moves in a stage where Reynor's basically trying to get all of his pieces on the board. He's trying to get the Hive Tech Lurker, he's trying to get all of his stuff. Anyway, that's why Classic is so scary. The winner of this series is going to be going up against him in the winner's match. The loser is going to fall and place Reynor in the loser's match, as we have Maru versus GuMiho here in the second match of the night. Now, this is also a rematch from the qualifiers. GuMiho was able to defeat Maru 2-1. It's one of the key reasons why he was able to qualify and seed himself directly into the round of 8 and didn't have to fight in the round of 12 the same way that Maru did last week. And GuMiho is one of these guys who, in TVT, for basically ever in Korea, all the other Terrans just dread playing him. Because at times he's the best in the world at TVT, but even when he is not the best, he's so tricky, he's so crafty. He's basically like the 4th race in this matchup, where he just sees things a little bit differently from everybody else. And he is so difficult to prepare for as a result of that. And now we're getting ready to go into this match. Maru versus GuMiho, some of the best Terran players in the world, going toe-to-toe here in the round of 8 of GSL. Let's get this series started.
What?
Oh,
Maru.
we fooled you! He's playing Protoss! Maru's
He's
playing
picked Protoss. Our producer told us before we started, it's like, I'm letting you guys know right now, Maru's playing Protoss for this match.
Dude.
So we don't have a rule here for race switching.
I think, didn't we originally, I remember there was a discussion about this with Reynor, and then I think they were like, you know what?
Yeah, why not?
Reynor is such a unicorn being able to play multiple races. Let's just let this go by.
That was years ago. But yeah, so I think in the old days, like OSL, MSL, they kind of made people do one just for branding purposes, and also like, what if you both decide to go Protoss, and it's like, oh, if he goes Protoss, then I want to go back to Zerg now. You know what I mean? But I think for now in the rules, they let you do it. So I've never seen Maru play Protoss before. I've never casted him, I should say, him playing Protoss before.
I am so excited. This is going to be so much fun. I know a lot of the Terran players who play Protoss, like Clem, is a really good Protoss player.
Well, you know, the truth is, when you get this high rank in StarCraft, you are able to play all the races. You can sit down and you know, you have to know your opponent's race as well as your own. So I am very curious how this is going to pan out, but we already have an SCV almost dead.
Yeah, that's a Maru probe. It's the most deadly of all the probes.
Yep.
I love that too. He mineral walks through. Oh, are you going to get it? It's 5 HP, so one more shot.
Yeah, I don't think he is. He's going to back out right before that Marine's out.
Oh, this is such a treat, man. All right, so Marine opening here for GuMiho. Back at home, Maru doing your cutter opening. 1 gate expand here for Protoss. And, you know, one of the things that I feel like the Terran players who off races Protoss do the best at is obviously playing Terran, such a micro-intensive race. It's usually the Blink Stalker control that is the most fun to watch the Terran players do.
You know, it's so funny too, because like people end up with these different hotkey setups as well for their race, and then when they play another race, sometimes you'll see those habits kind of cross over. Like I remember watching Artosis' stream once, and he had this is obviously StarCraft 1, but he had like, he was playing Protoss, and he had all his arbiters on one hotkey like they were science vessels. There was like 3 or 4 arbiters flying around weirdly. But yeah, let's see if we have anything like that bubble up here in this game. For now, it's going to be 1-1-1 build here for GuMiho. By the way, there's a real world where like GuMiho just smashes Maru. I just want to point this out. Maybe Maru does something impressive and shows us the way with Protoss, but there's also a world where it's like, you know, of course you shouldn't play your off race against GuMiho. GuMiho's extremely strong. He's also hard to prep for. He does more different builds than anybody else in GSL.
Yeah, I mean, he is so deadly in TBT that it's not a surprise. Maru might want to mix it up and go for Protoss here. Now, he got the Sentry after the Stalker and then instantly energy recharged it. That's how he's able to get this hallucinated Phoenix so quickly. And so he is clued in that GuMiho is going for what should be a relatively aggressive build. He doesn't know exactly what it's going to be. But anytime you see the 1-1-1 follow-up here to this command center, you know that some kind of harassment is going to be thrown your way.
All right, the Cyclone's out. He can very easily track the Stalker. And, you know, I got to say I'm a little surprised Maru was out there with that Stalker. That's kind of, I don't know, it's one of the basic things. You would not want to have that out on the map trying to fight because you know you will be killed with that. GuMiho inbound right now with the medevac.
Now here's a question, Tasteless. If Maru wins this GSL, do we have a Protoss champion?
Yeah, that's the question, right? Well, here's the thing. I think he's only playing Protoss for this match, but we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? I would love to see him mix in
I would love to see someone come in here with random again, by the way. You're allowed to do that, too.
GuMiho did that way back in the day, didn't he?
I think Season 1 or Season 2 he did, yeah.
Oh, this is right out of the view. Maru actually has no idea these Marines are going to completely unload, and the pylon is powering basically everything, but I feel like you're probably just going to go for the probes here.
Yeah, you know, again, these are these little subtle things when you play Protoss. You're going to make sure you have vision covering each of these areas. So we are seeing the quirks of an off-race player kind of reveal themselves here in this game. He's going to drop over here. This is a long walk for the Stalkers, and it's a forced cancel. Dude, this is actually going pretty badly for Maru.
I believe. Wait until Blink's done. Wait until we see Maru blink.
No, I am a Redditor atheist non-believer, okay? I am a fedora hat wearing Redditor atheist non-believer.
Blink is done though, Tasteless. He's gonna get the medevac. He's gonna get both the Cyclones. Nah, this is some Art of War stuff, dude. Let him feign weakness, Tasteless, and then when your opponent gets overconfident, you strike.
Am I gonna be born again by the time this game is done? We've got the gateway coming down here. We've got the Robo facility as well. That's a big loss from GuMiho.
Yeah.
You know, the overextension. He basically had stacked nothing but wins up until that moment. Not that like Maru is like back and unstoppable now, but you know, that was a
you're kidding me. You're kidding me, Tasteless. Is he gonna intercept this? The Banshee blinks on it. He spots it. Banshee gets taken out. Maru.
Nicely done.
Dude, I'm a believer. I can't stop grinning right now. I love this so much. What a glorious day watching Maru snipe Banshees and medevacs against GuMiho with Blink Stalkers and GSL. All right, well.
I am stunned he got that Banshee, by the way. Now, that must be his TVP knowledge where he goes, well, the Banshie would be here if it came up.
This is what I would be doing.
Yeah. This is when my Banshee would get up here. Nobody seems to do this.
He's going to have vision on the high ground. So there are there's 3 siege tanks.
Yeah, there's no way he should do it. Yeah. Good call. The third tank is pretty well hidden, by the way. I don't think that Phoenix could have seen it.
I think there is an angle. I mean, it's hard for Maru to get the read on this, but there is an angle where he could just blink onto the top side of that natural expansion and cause some problems. But
I don't know if he's going to do it because he didn't see the third tank in the main. He might have no idea where that is. But, well, he might see that there's nothing up here now.
Yeah, the window might be passing, though, with all the bio moving down to the natural expansion. So behind this, we have a 4th base coming in really quickly here for Maru. GuMiho about a little bit more than halfway done on his 3rd command center in the main. And Terran's playing a little bit on the back, but oh, you're kidding me, Maru! You've been watching too many hero games, dude. That's a lot of Stalkers. I don't know if that's worth it, buddy.
that was just actually.
I love it.
There's a lot of comedic gold kind of in this game. Like,
this is fantastic. He's like, well, Hero does this against
Hero
me, and
does
it works.
this, and it's pretty good. How many shots is it to kill a tank? Apparently, that's not the right amount.
Yeah, I love like the first siege tank was like 1 or 2 hits away from dying. It's just, oh man. And now Maru loses a lot of presence on the map because, of course, you have to remake some of the Stalkers, but you're not going to have the group that can one-shot medevacs like this, and also killing the Observer. GuMiho can just basically in full confidence send these 2 Banshees with no escort cross map. Whereas Maru earlier was so good with his game sense in terms of sniping, like the Banshee that would move cross map, getting the initial drop with the Cyclones and the Medevac. Unfortunately, I think he's going to be a little bit blindsided by this double drop that's going to be working its way to the natural expansion.
Oh! Does not kill that Medevac. Meanwhile, another drop over here. Killing the probe first.
Yeah, going to go right into the natural expansion now. Protoss, no army here to be found.
Yeah, Colossus is about to pop, though.
Yeah, Zealots warping in. Quite a bit of them, so it should force a pickup here on those Marines. Actually, no, wait, is this +1 done already? Yeah, +1 is done for those Marines. I was going to say, that's a lot of damage. And now GuMiho levying some pressure here at the 12 o'clock position. Siege tanks, I believe, are joining this army. Yeah, just off screen, we have one of the siege tanks. All right, here we go. Maru charging in. Widowmine shots. Nice splits right there on the Zealots. Microing forward as Maru blinks back the Stalkers, dodging the Widowmine shots. It's a great fight at 12 o'clock, able to push back GuMiho, but the damage of the natural expansion is huge. The entire mineral line gets completely wiped out.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to deny Thermal Lance. He's going to deny the Forge. I mean, this is GuMiho, just bigger, better, faster, stronger when compared to Maru. And I mean, look, again, it's Maru off racing. Will he go Protoss again? Maybe not.
I hope he does,
though. Yeah.
Let's see how this looks when Maru doesn't blink 12 Stalkers into 3 siege tanks and losing all of them. Right. But yeah, GuMiho is a little bit too strong right now.
GG.
GG. What a treat.
All right.
Oh, man, that was so much fun.
I guess Protoss isn't always that easy, is it, pro gamers?
I guess it's harder than it looks,
I guess
isn't
it's
it,
not
guys?
as easy as the guys on TV make it look like. That was so funny when he blinked in there and there were like so many Stalkers getting killed. You're just like watching each tank get like an extra volley off. It's like, it's down to like 10% HP. It's like, shoots down another one.
Dude, the best part about it was that like a moment before Maru had just sent in the hallucinated Phoenix, he was posturing as if he was going to blink into the main base, and then he saw the 3 siege tanks and he's like, I'm not gonna do that. That's a fool's errand. And
yeah.
And then he comes back and 1 minute later he's like, but what if I did?
What if I did? What if I came in even later? Well, will he go Protoss again?
I really hope so. I want him
Keep
to play
in mind,
this entire series as Protoss. I would love that so much.
This is a huge group. Like, it's no joke. I know Maru is always kind of the favorite here, but, I mean, are you going to get eliminated in the round of 8 because you Protossed it up?
Yeah, that is a fair point. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I'm being greedy right now.
There's a lot of money on the line here for first place, you know? Like, it's a big deal to just kind of drop out.
But you know what, Tasteless, playing devil's advocate, if Maru losing this match, playing Protoss means that we get to see him play another series because he goes to the Deciders match, I'm happy for more Maru and GSL Codas.
That's Maru value, man.
All right, guys, we're going into game number 2 between Maru and GuMiho in a second. Let's see if Maru goes back to the Protoss or if we're going to see Terran here in game 2.
Protoss again.
Dude.
I can't believe he did it again. I actually really was confident he would go Terran.
I love this.
Yeah, I mean, after how poorly that game went, I'm surprised.
Yeah, it felt like there were some holes, but I do want to see how Maru would be able to play if we don't have the train wreck of that blanket to the main base, because it wasn't looking that bad. Like
there was a couple other subtle things, like just having the Stalker out.
Yeah.
When you know that the G9L. Well, let's see, my friend.
Could be GPL after this series.
Could be GPL, yeah. Yeah, you know, it was a little bit weird. That's the first Stalker out there when you know a Cyclone can just come out and kill it. There's no escape, by the way. There's specific rules you got to follow when Cyclones are on the map so that you can get away.
His probe micro is pretty good in game number 1, though. Let's see. Aw. Not this time. But yeah, I'm curious, because there were a lot of... Like, you could tell it was not perfectly refined. Like, it felt like Maru maybe... I mean, it's hard to read into this because it's the first time seeing Maru play Protoss for me. But it seemed apparent that he hadn't practiced Protoss for this matchup very much, or if
it
he
seems
did, there
like
was
he
very
understood.
little.
Yeah, he understood what Protoss does.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's...
Right.
It's Maru after all, but yeah, there's some of the finer details in terms of the unit movement, like you said, the initial Stalker. Or,
yeah.
not having the stalkers in position to see the medevac fully unload in the main base early on.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that little blind spot drop where it's like, oh, you can actually stop this by just having a pylon further out. Every time. I don't think we talk about this enough, but there's all sorts of stuff that we never ever remark on because it's so kind of built into every move of a high level player. But like the placement of every building in your main matters.
And a lot
Because
of
that'll make sure that you can see a drop coming, stuff like that.
Right, and a lot of it is just instinctual stuff that comes from Protoss players too. Like these guys have, I don't know how many tens of thousands of hours of StarCraft 2 under their belt. These are the kind of folks that dream of StarCraft in their sleep. There are always going to be some kind of holes in your play when you do an off race like this one in the game. As high level as StarCraft 2 Code S.
Well, we
right?
never had anybody really come out and be a world champion outside of, I think, StarCraft 1 the first year or two. There was people that played random. XDS played random in a number of games, then eventually switched to Protoss. The game is hard enough that you can't just... we also, I should say, had Flash in StarCraft 1. He played random, got top 4 with that, won ASL. But yeah, we don't have anybody that becomes the world champ letting the computer play. I don't know if we'll ever get there in our lifetime, but there's a reason why. There's just so much you have to know in a specific matchup, even on a specific map, versus a specific play style and all the different variables involved with that you don't really have people that can kind of do it all usually. But this is fun. I can't believe we have a GSL where this is happening. This is a historic day here, the day that Maru picked Protoss against GuMiho. And right now, GuMiho is kind of delivering a point here. There's a reason why you don't see this.
It is a pleasure, though, to finally see Maru play Protoss like this in a GSL. This is not a treat that I was expecting to see by any means. I mean, when the producer told us that Maru's going to be playing GSL, playing this match against GuMiho with Protoss as we were coming in from break, it's hard to contain the excitement. Even if this is a 2-0 win for GuMiho, I'm so tickled by this series. It's been so much fun. Now, GuMiho moving cross map. I believe this is 2 Cyclones, a lot of Marines, and a Reaper. They're going to be trying to get some... Oh, it's a Siege Tank coming in with this push, Tasteless. And he's actually going to be elevatoring this into the main base. Now, this is a Stargate opening here for Maru. And so this is going to be a little bit tricky here for GuMiho because those Phoenix can kind of skirt their way around the outside and lift up that Siege Tank. I mean, it's kind of a nice setup here for Maru in terms of the units that he has. And I think GuMiho, recognizing that when he goes into the main base, sees a couple of Phoenix, sees the Oracle, he realizes the danger. He's like, all right, it's hard to go for this kind of pressure into the main base. Let's instead converge all of the forces here right at the front door, because GuMiho's army together is a lot stronger than it is spread out against these Phoenix. These Phoenix are going to be hard-pressed to find some damage done against siege tanks that are basically being escorted by these Marines.
So he's got his second tank up here. I think he can hit the battery? No, maybe not.
Might just be barely out of range.
Meanwhile, this Oracle's going to start doing work, taking out a couple workers. The Cyclone's microed back. By the way, GuMiho's micro at this base has been basically perfect.
Yeah, he's doing a very good job of just inching his way towards the natural expansion. Now, the first Immortal is done here. That shield battery is going to fall. I don't think there is a secondary shield battery in the natural expansion here for Maru, so...
If he can get this Robo, that's going to be big. I'm surprised he's going for the pylons, but I guess he knows best here.
Yeah,
Thought maybe it would be better to just go for the Robo itself, because this is not going to be a deny. Well, he's going to go for it.
All right, Probe's getting pulled. Let's see the Phoenix coming in, going for the medevac first, not actually going for the lift right there in the siege tank. Immortals instead trying to focus fire it down, but oh, the control from GuMiho is so clutch with the Marines. Oh, Maru, I mean, the supplies may look even, but Maru has basically no standing army left to deal with this.
Some of the best control in the whole world, but you can see he doesn't know the nuance of how to engage that army from the Protoss's perspective. The tanks weren't killed off quite in time. This has been a very interesting experiment we've run here.
Yeah, it's fun.
This has been very cool to see, but I mean, it will cause Maru to go into the losers match.
Oh, he's pulling the probes again, Tasteless. Let's see. Maybe there's a dream. No, there isn't a dream.
GG.
All right, GG. What a fun treat. GuMiho winning 2-0. Maru with a little bit of a smirk on his face. I mean, that was a lot of fun, but...
I know Maru's also had some issues with his wrists. Or maybe it was shoulder, so maybe there's something with that. I think specifically stutter step micro, which Terran do endlessly.
Maybe, but I mean,
pain there.
We saw him last week though, and he played so well with Terran. I think it's just him trying something new, having some fun. Maybe he was a little bit overconfident in his PBT coming into this one. But yeah, what a fun little adventure that Maru gave to us today here in this series. But unfortunately for him, that means he's going to fall to the losers match to play against Reynor. GuMiho will advance to face Classic.
Yeah, Maru versus Reynor then. Okay, guys, Classic versus GuMiho coming up next. Another PVT. We're going to be right back.
Felt so alive in my life, 'cause you make me come to life every time I'm free. Oh, and I'm loving all that you do. Can't you see? I'm crashing right into you. Felt so alive in my life, 'cause you make me come to life every time I'm free. Oh, and I'm loving all that you do. Can't you see? I'm crashing right into you.
first day I saw you since long ago, I still remember it was so cold. And you were warm and I with some green tea. You asked me, can you lend me sugar? You grabbed the shaking bowl and shook her, and you put all the sugar right on me. And what a crash, what a crash. Felt the sudden sugar rush as you sang me your apologies. And when the second day we met by chance, what a sweet coincidence to find the sugar girl right next to me. Decided it's time to introduce myself. Your name that came with an address that led me to my feet.
I just want to be enough for you. Yeah. But you insist too much on being rude. Yeah. Think about it, 'cause I'm dying, baby. If you want it, you just have to take it. If you feel something, but you gotta tell me. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it's stuck in me. I like but how you taste. Give me the signs, I'll take the step for you. No, I like you, baby, you know. I want you to take the control. I'm like, alright, baby, alright, alright. No, I like you, baby, you know. I want you to take the control. I'm like, alright, baby, alright, alright.
Yeah.
Think about it, 'cause I'm dying, baby. If you want it, you just have to take it. If you feel something, but you gotta tell me. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why it's stuck in me. I like but how you taste. Give me the signs, I'll take the step for you. No, I like you, baby, you know. I want you to take the control. I'm like, alright, baby, alright, alright. No, I like you, baby, you know.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to decide who gets the 3rd spot in the Final Four here. It's going to be either a Protoss player Classic or a Terran player GuMiho. Surprisingly, it's Maru versus Reynor in the losers match, which is coming up next. Maru has elected to play Protoss, at least so far, versus GuMiho. That was pretty hype until it fell flat on its face. And I don't know if he's going to play Protoss again. I don't really know what to expect going into this. Definitely a plot twist here.
Yeah.
In not just this season of GSL, over the whole scene of StarCraft 2. We haven't had Maru pick Protoss, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it did not go well, but I'm glad he tried it. It was a, it was a treat to watch.
It was fun. It was cool.
But I guess it's harder than it looks, isn't it, Maru?
Yeah, wow.
I guess Protoss really is a difficult race.
I guess it isn't just an A-move race, huh?
But I'm excited for this next match, Classic versus GuMiho. We just saw GuMiho win a TVP pretty convincingly against one of the best StarCraft 2 players of all time in Maru. I wonder if he's going to be going for kind of the same strategies here against Classic. No, really, I do wonder, because GuMiho's always kind of played this more aggro style of TVP, where it feels it's a lot more tactical in the early game than some of the other Terran players, where he really likes to go for like double gas openings. He likes to lean heavily into like 1-1-1 kind of harassment, whether it be with a Cyclone drop, whether it be with Cloak Banshees or Liberators or any kind of possible shenanigans. And so I'm curious how that's going to fare well into Classic, who right now just feels like he might be the best macro Protoss player that we have in the world right now. I don't know if he is the best Protoss player. Some players in Korea, like Rogue, are saying that they think he is the best in the world.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But certainly in terms of stability and standard macro play, Classic is probably your guy.
He seems to have completed the puzzle. He knows how to go from A to Z, early game all the way to end game here. But PvT is a much more explosive matchup. Will Classic play more of a Poppy style, or is it going to be kind of that withdrawn, slow, smothering way to take the matchup on? We're going to find out here as we go into the 3rd best of 3 here in Group B. Second to last day here of this season of the GSL. Okay, so Classic in the top left, GuMiho in the bottom right. And yeah, I mean, let's see what Classic is going to show us here. GuMiho, you know, he plays a very engaging style. He likes to kind of get out there and get in the other player's face. He's got a lot of very cute openers that can create unique situations. It wasn't shocking to see what he did in Game 2 versus Maru, you know, kind of just getting the Cyclone out. He did like a kind of a little bit of a pressure drop, threatening something in the main, and then he just loops right back around to the entrance. And his control, by the way, has been spot on.
Yeah.
We've had a couple times where it looks like maybe he'd lose one Marine, which isn't the end of the world, and he won't even let that happen.
Yesterday's built on ladder and somehow got demoted to Bronze 4.
That is the worst.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 ladder is a cruel mistress.
Yeah, I know. You'll be watching a big tournament, be like, oh yeah, that looks fun. I think I get it. And then you get online, you're like, nope. Or you'll want to try something and the game just goes in such a different direction. You're like, I don't even know, man.
Well, so Classic going to move this probe up into the ramp here of Terran, spot the double gas, or not double gas, spot the double supply depot, and should be able to just glean from that this is going to be some kind of tech-based opening.
Right.
Second supply depot basically almost always telegraphs that it's a 2-gas opening, and we do have the factory follow-up here for GuMiho with that Reaper. And so it seems like it will be one of those tactical plays. Now, I feel like, I know that GuMiho just played against Maru in TVP, and obviously Maru is not a Protoss player of the caliber of Classic.
Right.
But I do honestly think that GuMiho's approach in that series kind of indicates where his TVP is at. You know, I feel like he actually did show Maru some respect with his build order selection and going for actual timing attacks there in TVP. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw basically the same kind of approach here against Classic. Like whether that be a siege tank timing attack, whether that be, you know, Cyclone drops or just some kind of early push. Oh, this Reaper just barely fast enough to get out. Oh, the Stalker, I think, is it going to get that last hit? Adept should.
The Adept will get him.
Nice. It's always such a relief as Protoss when you kill the Reaper.
Oh, it's also a source of pain when you don't.
Yeah, I know.
When it just gets away, you go, all right, well, I guess it's just out there on the map.
Forever.
It's going to scout me or come in my base later and kill workers.
Oh, we actually had a second Reaper built here by GuMiho, and he's going to come in with a Hellion. Classic barely missed this with his Stalker, and so these units are going to basically get free reign here. There is a probe that was going to try and throw down a gateway, but with this kind of awkward timing, GuMiho coming in with a Hellion and a Reaper is going to be able to get at least 2 probes. I think maybe 1 or 2 more might be in the cards.
God.
Oh, dude, this Hellion, it's so low on HP. 3 probes going to fall. Now, on the other side of the map, Classic did push cross-map with an Adept and a Stalker.
Was he actually killing the SCV? I think he's attacking the command center.
Yeah, the SCV's already dead. So
I'm sorry. I thought it was still building for a second.
Now, Command Center is just taking a ton of damage right now. GuMiho mostly focusing on microing this, but of course, when you go for like a double Reaper opening like this one, you don't really have the units to deal with this. That Command Center going to get very low on HP. Now, fortunately here for GuMiho, the Siege Tank is going to be able to disperse this incursion on the Terran territory.
The tank is pretty good at fighting, not sieged up.
Yeah.
You don't see it very often, but it can do perfectly well there. That Reaper, by the way, got away. Definitely annoying. He's going to go for a quick pickup here. I think the Shade should have seen that.
I think it might have been barely out of vision. Shades have...
yeah, no, they have painfully small vision.
Oh, the Stalker's certainly going to see it, though.
Yeah, but the Stalker is going to have to chase it now. And, you know, this is GuMiho just trying to stay active on the map. I would love if he just killed this Pylon or Cybernetics Core over here.
Oh, you're going into the main base, GuMiho?
I thought he was going to drop in the low ground here. This might be a little bit too ambitious. So he's going to boost out, but he could be intercepted by these Stalkers down here.
Yeah.
A nice warp in over there. I really like that. And that was an overextension for sure.
I am surprised that he went into the main base like that.
Yeah, that was kind of a win more move.
Mm-hmm. You know, luckily for GuMiho, Classic Stalkers in the main base have a long way to rejoin this forces here in the front. So I think that GuMiho should be fine. The Siege Tank is going to take a little bit of damage here from the chasing Stalkers, but with another Siege Tank here on the high ground, GuMiho should be safe. It's not the disaster that it potentially could have been, but...
Now, he can set up for another push like the last game. He's got 3 tanks. I'm always amazed that Terran can pull these little pushes off, but, you know, if you get things in the right position and control stuff correctly, you can do a lot.
Yeah.
He's kind of sieged up out here at the front, so he's not going to make any moves yet here. The Protoss also doesn't have a 3rd base yet, so it's like, what would you actually be hitting, right? You're never going to just, you know, two base push another 2-base player here. The Observer's going to glide in.
We're actually going to have a 4th Tasteless, or 4th Tasteless, a 4th
4
Siege
Tasteless.
Tank.
Can you imagine? 4 Tastelesses. It's like the Ninja Turtles of Tastelesses, each one with a different colored blazer and a different weapon that they've mastered.
The 4th Siege Tank joining the fray here. That is a lot of Siege Tanks. Like, if GuMiho goes for a push and is able to basically knock on the doorstep of Classic,
oh my God,
he certainly is going to with this SCV pull. There is so much firepower here. I love Classic moving down outside of his natural expansion like this. He's going to try and section off this army. This is a brilliant move by Classic. Do anything you can to slow this down. Fight the siege tanks when they are unsieged, forcing GuMiho to do this dropship micro. The SCVs not really getting the full value. The siege tanks falling. I mean, the tanks, when they're not able to siege up and focus fire down the Stalkers in this situation, there's not a lot of DPS. This is a huge win for Classic, Tasteless.
Yeah, Classic takes out a lot of the key units, but you know, it's a pretty wounded GuMiho behind all this. Some SCVs remain, some Reigns can kind of stem in here. I just feel like this is far too brittle of an army, far too flimsy to make this work, and so he's gonna regroup. I don't think he's giving up on the attack itself, although I think the SCVs might be right-clicked back over to the expansion.
I think he might just be retreating. He's going to go for a drop ship
instead. He's going to go for a drop move here, so he is going to send the SCVs back. So, I mean, this is pretty bad here for GuMiho.
That Classic with just a brilliant move, identifying the situation and recognizing if GuMiho gets sieged at my doorstep, it's a problem. But if I can meet him in the middle of the map, it'll be a huge win. Oh man, even the Zealots coming in, not giving any ground to GuMiho with this drop. And now Classic, he's going to get the 3rd base set up. Blink is about to finish. Additional gateways are coming online. Archons are morphing in. SCVs are coming here. Archons are pretty good against SCV pulls, Tasteless.
Yeah, they will melt those, no problem. That's only going to give you a little bit of extra time to do damage. He sieges up. But there's no attack coming in here.
We're going to have like 4 storms when this push hits. This is going to be brutal. From Terran players, shield your eyes.
Yeah, this is going to be so bad. I mean, look, I actually don't think that GuMiho will even stay in the game if this attack fails. I mean, you don't have any longevity here. You're giving up all the importance that we have. A storm there on that. Are we going to get any on the infantry themselves?
The storms even hit before combat shields was finished.
Oh my God. GG. Classic takes game 1. And kind of a fail set there from GuMiho.
Yeah, I see GuMiho talking to himself right now. That did.
Well, that was a bad game. That was like everything that he did played right into him.
He's like, man, this worked against Maru. Why didn't it work here against Classic? Yeah. But really, I mean, Classic just with a beautiful read. Because if GuMiho, if those siege tanks are actually sieged, and they're utilizing the terrain either outside of the third base or outside of the natural expansion of Classic, if Classic just lets GuMiho get entrenched, that fight looks completely different. But instead, he basically just caught GuMiho completely unaware with a really fast charge timing too. And when he pushed in like that, you're never going to be able to actually siege up those tanks on the front line with charge zealots basically right in front of him. So, I mean, GuMiho, he needs to use the medevacs to lift and move instead of to heal. The siege tanks, they're not doing the splash damage, not getting the big hits on the stalkers that they need. And then Classic just rides that momentum beautifully to seal out the game with some smart tech choices. And now he is one map win away from going to the round of 4, Tasteless.
Am I?
Uh-oh.
Did I cut out again?
I believe so. Well,
I think I did.
Guys,
let's see. I don't know if you guys are experiencing some of the audio issues we're having here, but even right now, I can hear myself dropping in volume. I guess let me know on Twitter if you're having the same issues, guys, as we're having up here. But yeah, I can't hear myself right now. I think I'm still going through. Anyways, I'll cast as if I am in a normal situation. We've got GuMiho down here in the bottom left and Classic here in the top right.
Yeah, and so for GuMiho thus far, he's been mostly just going for these timing pushes. I mean, I know I say mostly, and so I'm pulling a little bit from the information we gathered between GuMiho and Maru in that opening series. But the 2 gas and these like 1-1-1 or 2-1-1 plays really are his forte. And I feel like Classic in that game number 1 made a very smart adjustment going into charge so quickly and also being very proactive with his scouting on the map. First with the initial Stalker and the Adept that moved across map to, you know, see the command center timing, see what units are coming out of the factory and the barracks to defend against that pressure. And then also just coming in with the Observer so quickly too. I mean, the fact that that Observer was able to identify the SCV pull from GuMiho immediately gave all the information that Classic needed to basically position his army in a way to absorb the impact as best as possible. And if Classic continues to play in such a proactive defensive manner, like proactive in terms of gathering information, identifying the threats, and then just dealing with them defensively the way that he did, I mean, we see again another double gas opening coming in here from GuMiho with no second command center. I think GuMiho is going to have to come up with something a little bit more tricky, a little bit more crafty than we saw from him in game number 1 if he's going to try and do like a leg sweep here on Classic and gain a advantage in map number 2.
So far, Classic is, you know, just tacking into that first Adept here. It looks like we're going to go into that kind of 1-1-1 play that we've seen a lot of here in PvT. You know, there's a lot of different ways you can organize your units and little harasses you want to do in this matchup here. I think that GuMiho, if we go back to that previous game, he was doing great until he overextended with the medevac that had the 1 tank and the, I think it was 3 Marines and a Reaper, something like that, maybe 4 Marines and a Reaper. He kind of went into the main when I thought maybe he could try to harass on the outside. You know, some of those tiny harasses, they're good even if you get like a probe or a stalker or anything like that, because those little paper cuts can lead to a lot of damage later on when you do this actual attack. And you know, sometimes it's just 1 or 2 extra siege tank shots and a few stalker shots that fire, but they miss the Marine because it gets picked up by the medevac, and that's enough to snowball a fight.
Yeah, but it is a double-edged sword,
right?
As we saw. By the way, that coming in here, we'll be able to snipe the SCV, but that's it. Just going to delay this command center a little bit. He didn't glean really too much more information than that. None of the factory units were revealed. But going back to the point that you made, Tasteless, you know, the dropship, it wasn't as big a disaster as it could have been. At the end of the day, what did GuMiho really lose? It was just 1 medevac. But a lot of these Terran timing pushes, although they are so scary and so difficult to deal with, and it's why sometimes, I mean, for GSLs in the years past, it's very often just a killing blow. There is this massive potential, but things really need to go to plan for that to work. It's not the kind of thing where you could be throwing away starport units like the medevac and still expect your timing attack to have the same kind of power that it normally would, especially because Classic is saying that, and he's also gathering information on exactly where you are at. You know, he sees that dropship coming in, and he's like, okay, clearly you're going to be doing some kind of siege tank play. This is probably going to culminate in a push because I know this was a 2-gas opening and not a more macro-oriented, you know, Rax expand opening with a second gas. And, you know, from that position, Classic was able to just navigate the game beautifully. So here the adjustment in from GuMiho is going to be a Cloak Banshee opening instead. So it seems like this might be something a little bit more harassment-oriented than it is a killing blow-oriented, which I think here against Classic is probably the better play. Although, you know, if the Banshee damage does start to add up, this could also very easily lead to another siege tank push as we saw against Maru and against Classic in game number 1.
Okay, so he's going to come up now with this Banshee, and he might even try to get the pylon out here. There is a second backup pylon just to make sure this doesn't get unpowered. I like that setup there by Classic, kind of ensuring that things don't get shut down outright. And the interception's going to come in again, man. I mean, he's going to be able to, he actually bounces that Stalker into the,
oh, what?
Oh, what?
Okay.
That was crazy. Killed the Cyclone and then almost lost everything to the Marine tanks.
Yep, now Stalker's here in the main base. There is an Observer. I don't know if there's one on the field right now. One is in production. Okay, no Observer on the map. So this Banshee basically getting free reign in the main base of Classics. I mean, look at all these probes going down. Finally, the Observer is done, but 6 probes in total going down. And I think here in the middle, the siege tank, I believe, looking at the minimap, was able to survive. So the army trades generally trending in favor of Classic, but a lot of damage done economically here to the Protoss player.
So funny, he got that one Stalker that was low on HP. On Marines on an A move going back. Well, Terran's going to pull back inside of his natural, siege up, and try to play it safe. It's going to be the Protoss' turn. Try to come in here and get something done. It is going to be Observer Stalker, so he could try to go into the main. He might just try to blink in here, and that's exactly what he does, showing Maru how it's done.
Yeah, I mean, that was a beautiful play, too, leading with a 1 Stalker, knowing that it's going to be absorbing most of the impact. And, oh, another blink in there by Classic Snipes, the second siege tank of GuMiho. The SCVs are getting pulled, some nice blink micro as well. Focusing down this Banshee, the pylon is not going to go down. I think, oh, he's barely going to miss this, and now they're in Stalker jail. He's blinking forward, trying to chase this thing down.
Stalker prison planted over there.
Oh, man, the Banshee barely able to survive because of that. Oh, no. Hold that thought.
Never mind.
One more Stalker coming in on the outside, able to clean it up. And, man, Classic just really in control of this game. You know, whenever you're building siege tanks like this, as the Terran player here as GuMiho, you're hoping to build up to some kind of moment where you can really get a lot of advantage of them, ideally in some kind of push. And so for Classic, just coming in with a Stalkers like this and shaving away siege tanks, it gets a lot of damage done. I mean, the momentum here for GuMiho in terms of the army development, the Banshees have been good, but besides that, it's just been a really troubling time here for Terran.
So, you know, Terran, every time they come out on the map, they're getting punished. And it's not looking pretty. I mean, Protoss is getting up onto 3 bases. We've had a decent number of important units that were picked off there. Banshees, tanks, a couple of Marines. And that Psy Storm is being upgraded. And the Psy Storm basically negates any kind of, forceful attack where the Terran slams into the Protoss. The moment that you hit with everything, the Psy Storm punishes that, it melts that. Which makes it a lot more complicated for Terran to try to get in there. So I think that Classic's going to be in a pretty comfortable spot now.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he's basically been able to parry these small attacks by GuMiho, with the exception of the Banshees, which were able to get quite a bit of damage done, means that he's going to be here at 8 minutes with Charge, with Blink, with Storm, and with a lot of Templar, which I am certain he has been charging up with a new Nexus Energy recharge ability, which means there's a lot of Storms, and I love this also by Classic. Just anything you can do to chip away at the Terran army, like killing a couple of these Marines, especially before they have combat shields, is so much value. And this is a very Marine-based army, too, here for GuMiho. So once these Storms come in, I think we're going to have 2 in the Warp Prism. There's 2 more that are on the field. There are so many Storms available here to Classic. And GuMiho, unless he's basically perfect with his micro into these units, is going to be hard-pressed to survive, really.
Yeah, I mean, I love that he was even getting damage off and taking out the couple of Marines that were there without losing any hull on the Stalkers. We have the push now going to come up here. Got to be careful. You don't want to overextend, but it seems like he thinks those Might be some loose Marines and Marauders. He hits there. And, I mean, it's still a kind of a ways to go here for Terran. He's not really near anything yet. I love the Zealots and the Templars kind of ready to flank here. He's going to get these storms off.
Oh, Zealot's connecting with a Siege Tank Storm on all three of them. The Siege Tank's basically just dead to right, so GuMiho is going to lift up, potentially go into the main base. Yeah, that's where he's going. What do we have here waiting for him? Oh, a lot of Templar with a lot of energy. Those medevacs are battered and bruised. Even more coming in from the Warp Prism. Stalkers warping in, Zealots warping in the main base. This Terran army, yeah, it does have a lot more firepower than the Stalkers here in the main. But as soon as Classic reinforces it, he's got to be very careful. These medevacs, they are so low on HP, Tasteless. Another storm. Did he even get, I don't even think he got the Forge, did he?
No, I mean, he lost so many important things here. Even the Banshee finally going down. I think the counterattack here from Protoss is going to be devastating.
I mean, looking at the army supplies right now, Classic has a lead, but the very scary thing for me is that, oh, hold that thought actually. Classic with so much confidence just charging forward right now. Oh, even stutter stepping. He takes the War Prism to drop the Templar in closer range. He pulls it forward, just this overpowering Gateway army. GG. Classic is going to the round of 4. A magnificent performance from him. 2-1 over Reynor and then 2-0 over GuMiho in such convincing fashion.
Oh my God.
I mean,
he just absolutely, he's slaughtered. He might win this whole GSL. He's making it look so easy, so strong. I thought it was going to be a longer series, by the way. I didn't expect it to be, you know, GuMiho kind of hopping around the map, trying stuff, and Classic just clapping him.
Yeah, that was very impressive. I am so excited to hear what Classic has to say.
Yeah, we're going to go to that interview now.
Congratulations, Classic, on making the semifinals of GSL Season 1. Well, it feels like time stopped for you, Classic. You've always been really good in the StarCraft 2 scene, so how do you feel right now? Well, it's my first GSL, you know, stage in a long time, so I'm really nervous. But I feel really fortunate. I feel really happy that I made it into the round of 4. I mean, in the match against GuMiho, you showed phenomenal performance, but against Reynor, also, you showed great performance. Yeah, I feel like the first game, I always lose in a best of 3. So in the beginning, I did make some trivial mistakes, but it's always the same. It's always the usual scenario, so it didn't really startle me. Classic, whenever we see you perform in the GSL, we always see Maru in the same group as you, and it's always Maru that drags you down. So this time, I feel really happy that Maru is in the lower bracket. So now you'll be playing as Cure in the round of 4. Are you confident? Well, I actually practiced against Cure a lot for my GSL preparation. I feel like it's going to be a really tough match, but I really want to lift the trophy this season, so I'll try to be ambitious and try to prep well for that match. Another overperformance from you today, Classic. And any shout out to the fans who are rooting for you offline and online? You know, it's good to see the fans in a GSL offline stage. I feel really happy, and I hope to repay with a great match in the next round 4. Classic, once again, congratulations on your advancement. Thank you.
He looks good, man. He looks really, really good. I mean, I would not be shocked if he takes the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting right now. They're going to be going into the round of 4 tomorrow with 2 Protoss players, Hero and Classic, on opposite sides of the bracket, too.
We could have a PvP finals. Oh. We have not had that in...
Yeah, I don't know how long it has been.
Is it Seed? MC?
No way. It cannot be that long ago, was it?
I have
that
to
was
check.
like what? That was
PvP finals at GSL is not
ago.
something I think about very often. No, there has to be something in between there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
don't know.
There's been so many years of GSL, it's hard to remember all the finals. But I feel like PvP, yeah it possibly could have been
PvP is pretty
CMC.
rare, right? I mean, we've had a decent number of ZVZs, and we've certainly had TVTs. Anyways, guys, we'll be right back with the losers match. Don't go away.
strange. I was here every day, but then you just walked away. Silent, silent and gray. Yesterday and tomorrow, now it feels silent and strange. I was here every day, but then you just walked away. Silent, silent and gray. Silent, silent, silent and gray. Silent, silent, silent and gray. Silent, silent, silent and gray. Silent.
But if I fade away, I want to be done and leave you behind. My blood is poisoned and it hurts sometimes. Maybe I should work it out, 'cause I can't escape. It's catching up to me now. But if I fade away and let you go, will I find salvation? There's demons in my head I can't avoid. Will they fade when I fade away? Let's go.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Classic has just torn through this group, looking like an absolute beast. This leaves us with GuMiho, Maru, and Reynor. It's going to be Maru versus Reynor here in the losers match. Weird twist of events. Maru picked Protoss. Nobody in the studio knew this was going to happen until it happened. And he got dumpstered by GuMiho. Like, it was cool that he did it. Then you go, oh, that's why you play one race in this game.
Yeah.
You know, even someone like Maru, it's, and I'm not saying his Protoss is bad, but you know, you get what I'm saying. There's a reason why you tend to main a race. I don't know if this is due to wrist injuries.
I don't. I mean, I know that Maru's been dealing with like wrist or shoulder injuries for a while, but he looked so good last week in his games in the round of 12 that I feel like maybe it's some combination of just GuMiho being a really tough TVT opponent, and I know that Maru and a lot of these other guys will off race, especially on the ladder, and to great success.
Yeah, well,
and so
I
maybe there's a
get
little
that.
bit of hubris.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just thought, I'm going to try something different. And,
or maybe he just wants to have fun. Who knows?
So Reynor's going to be going up against him. I want to know, does he pick Protoss again, or does he go Terran? Because, you know, it's one thing to lose a match. And by the way, don't be misled by that graphic. They programmed that in here before the show started, okay? We don't have the...
I would be very surprised if Maru went back to Protoss here especially against Reynor. I think that, you know, his TVZ looked really solid. I believe it was against Rogue, if I'm not mistaken, in the initial group stages. And so I feel like we're probably just going to go right back to that. I mean, I think we're not going to be seeing Maru play Protoss in GSL in the foreseeable future after the way the series against GuMiho went. As amusing as it was, and as much as I would love to see it.
Yeah, I see now in the unit race selection, excuse me, it is Terran. So it's going to be a TVZ. Yeah, let's see what happens, man. Maru versus Reynor. The loser is out of the GSL. The winner will face off against GuMiho in that final match for the final series in the round of 8. It would also be hilarious, by the way, if Maru just beat Reynor and then easily beat GuMiho with Terran. It's like, oh, all right, well.
It's a possibility.
You know, as much as we joked about your Protoss, like, yeah, maybe your Terran's just so good, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, you can actually risk it.
I mean, you know, if he wins, if he advances today and goes to the round of 4, that the casters are going to be asking him heaps of questions about this, and so I'm very curious to hear what Maru has to say. And actually, it didn't even seem like it was that spur of the moment, because we go back to the, you know, at the very start of the show, we had the interviews where like the groups are revealed and the players talk about their potential matchups and that kind of thing. Maru did mention there that he was considering playing Protoss against GuMiho. So it's actually been on his mind for a little bit. I think they pre-record that. I don't know how long before the actual match is played, but it had been on his mind. So it wasn't a completely spur-of-the-moment decision. Of course, I do not think we're going to see Maru play Protoss again today, or just in the future of GSL in general, given the way that went. But
a lot of people excited for Reynor here today. Man, I got to say, guys, we have not had a foreigner win GSL in the 15-plus years we've had of this tournament. Is it 17 years now?
I think it's 15,
oh,
right?
15, right?
You didn't do
15
beta
or 14.
You didn't do beta stuff, did you? So 2010, because I think the game came out.
No, we had one of them was in the beta.
Oh, was it?
No, I'm 99% sure. I'm sorry, this has all happened so long
It's
ago.
ancient history at this
But
point.
I remember we had something. It might have been under a different name, but we had something going on in the beta, because I remember that's how we got a head start in doing this. So, yeah, I mean, it would be so cool to see Reynor advance here. I think this is easily the biggest challenge opponent in GSL is Maru.
Yeah.
He's won so many GSLs, I don't think anybody's ever going to catch up, or if they do, it's going to be years and years before we even get to that point. And I can't even imagine it happening as long as he's still playing, because he's going to be winning GSLs in between then.
Yeah, if GSL was an empire that had to choose a champion in like mano-a-mano combat, it would be Maru. Like 100 times out of 100. This guy just embodies GSL. Most GSL Codes victories by a long shot. Nobody's even close. And this is a guy who basically grew up with GSL. I remember watching him play in his initial GSL games, and he's just a kid, you know. It's
he
young
was a baby,
Maru.
man. Yeah, it was super cute seeing him in interviews and stuff. He's all grown up now. This is 3 Command Center, by the way.
Yeah, this is reminiscent of the build that he did against Rogue, where he went for a really fast, really greedy 3cc opening, and then just brought the hammer down.
Did he go double eBay with that?
Yeah, that was the double eBay game. So it's a little bit different in terms of this being a faster tech as opposed to faster upgrades, but it is similarly greedy. We've had 8Rax win a ton of TBZ games, by the way, this far in GSL Codes. Occasionally, we'll hit these stretches in GSL, especially in TBZ. I feel like the metagame often gets, I mean, stale is the wrong word, but I feel like it gets maybe the most figured out compared to the other matchups like PBT and PBZ, where there's usually a lot more experimentation, a lot more quirky timing attacks. TBZ in general in GSL's history, especially over the past like 5 or so years, feels like one of these matchups where there isn't as much of a variety in terms of opening, and so when we do get one, it's a big treat. And in the past, we had like the CC first, I want to see what was like maybe a 5 or 6 racks play was trending for like an entire year. We saw very few Zerg players actually stop it. And so far in 2025 in GSL, it has been the super fast 3cc 8 racks play.
Yeah, and you know, TVZ, at least for now, it does look very different from TVZ's, you know, a year, 2, 3 years ago. There was a phase where it was like a lot more about like Terran kind of keeps taking the map, and if they can't push and win, like they always have that initial push, right? But if they don't push and win with that, then they play like keep away. They play hide the ball with the Zerg and just take half the map. And the Zerg tries to attack in, and you kite and you run away. But we've had patch changes since then. Now it seems like it's a lot more about going for the jugular here as a Terran player, trying to come out here and giving that fatal blow onto the Zerg, closing it out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is just because of the changes we've had in the patch, plus the new maps. I mean, Ghosts costing more supply hindered the strength of the Terran late game, so kind of turtling up like that is a little bit less ideal, by the way. Banshee does have Cloak, so it should be able to get out of the range of the Spore Crawler. Actually, more damage than I was anticipating, as Reynor's going to have to reposition this. I think he thought the Banshee was coming in, potentially without cloak, so a little bit of a scramble there to get the drones all the way back into the center of the mineral line where they're going to be safe. But going back to what I was saying, because queens are more expensive now, even though the hatcheries, you know, as a consequence of that are also cheaper, just generally the Zerg early game is a little bit weaker, and also the Terran late game is a little bit weaker because of the ghost changes. So the pendulum has swung a little bit to a more aggressive meta in TVZ, and it's been really fun to watch. But it also seems like it is very challenging for some of these Zerg players to stop these hyper-aggressive, especially like the 3 racks, or the 3 command center 8 racks play. It seems so challenging. Rogue lost, I believe, at least one map in every TVZ that he played, 2 and 8 racks off 3CC. And I was talking with Reynor about this actually before the games started today. He was saying, yeah, it's a really strong build. It's very difficult to handle in the current meta, even if you know it's coming.
Well, Reynor's doing a god-tier job of paving the map with creep. The more creep you have between the Terran and your vital bases, the better it's going to be for you. So I think Maru's done a decent job here with just sending Hellions out to try to clean this up, but the creep spread's looking very good. For the time being, Terran's continuing to accumulate, muster up more and more forces here. We're a ways away here from having that push come out. It will be 7 mutas hatching here, and he is going to go for air weapons here. So we're going to go with the very old school and classic TVZ comp of kind of Ling Muta Bane here to try to fight stuff off.
Yeah, I wonder how much he's going to commit to the mutas with this composition. Is this something he's going to keep investing in, or is he going to be really heavy on the Ling Baneling on the ground? It's a very fun style.
And,
I think,
you know, the mutas can be used to just try to fly back into the main and buy time for the Terran.
Right.
Some of these timings are so sharp, if you can, like, delay it by 30 seconds, it's a pretty big deal.
All right, well, Reynor is just continuing to expand across the bottom of the map, and now that he's basically taken those 4 bases all the way to the south side of Incorporeal, every future hatchery needs to expand towards the Terran opponent. So things are going to get progressively more difficult here for Reynor to actually gain territory in the center of the map, especially with Maru sitting out hit squads like this one to potentially snipe hatcheries, to try and trade efficiently with the Lings, but more importantly also to clear the creep. As actually those mutas behind all of this were going into the main base right now, so they aren't back at home to help intercept this drop, but they were able to get a lot of SCV damage there in the main base. 7 SCVs going down, now this third base also undefended, so even more workers are going to fall. Meanwhile, Maru not really able to find the damage that he wants to find here in the main base of Reynor. He's going to drop once again here at this 4th base. Oh, an excellent focus fire. Good micro with the Queens taking down that low HP Medevac. Even transfuses coming in, so only one of them are going to fall. And now that there's a smart separation of forces here with Banelings and Lings in the main base, this harassment from Maru is basically done, and the mutas can basically just come back, reconverge with the army, and clean this up.
So he's going to have this medevac coming back, and that's going to be wiped out. Yeah, I was going to say the interception should be pretty easy. Look, Reynor's maxed out. He's looking to be in great shape. The push hasn't even really started yet. It's actually going to be a later 4th base. So I think Reynor's done a great job. I mean, he's looking very, very strong. We haven't had any, like, true big engagements, just drops being held here by the Zerg. So the question's going to be, you know, does Reynor maybe have enough to attack in here? Does he want to play keep away for a little bit longer? Nice job there from Maru to deny the drone from getting that hatchery up. But for now, the entire bottom side of the map is under Reynor's control. There's only one more base, which he was about to take before it was denied. And he'll have every base on his side of the map.
Yeah, so we see Reynor, he's going up to 6 bases now. He's getting in the infestation pit for hype tech. He's at 90 drones. He is max. He's building a bank. All of these things are great for him. But one of the reasons why he's been able to do this is because he's been skimping a little bit. He's been cutting corners on other sides of the game, especially the upgrades. He only has Muta attack. Maru is about to have +2 infantry weapons and +2 armor, whereas Reynor, his 1-1 on the ground in melee is maybe halfway done. Yeah, it's just about halfway done. So the upgrade differential right now between the Marines and the Ling Bane is huge. That means that Reynor's going to need to get big connections with these Banelings. The Lings really are not going to cut it against this bio. It has to be the Banelings connecting with the Marines.
I mean, a lot of Banes are being morphed here. Terran has a lot of creep to try to hack and saw their way through. We haven't seen Reynor go in for the big bite yet, but I think we're very close. He's going to set up his angles here with Lings and Mutas over here to the side, the Banes on the bottom. And I think try to basically engulf this area with damage.
Yeah, Reynor actually going for a huge counterattack now with all of these lings. He's going to rely on the 40+ Banes he has back at home to defend. He's going to come here into the natural expansion, but again, the upgrade differential makes it hard for those lings to actually connect on those Marines. The 1-1 just now finished here for Reynor. Oh, but he was able to bait them out. Those Marines actually got completely surrounded right there.
Yeah, with the mutas coming in here, it's going to be a lot more damage, and Maru's not turning around. He's headed southbound here with his main army. He's pushing over to where there's a lot of banelings over here. Without tanks present, there's no real way to ever chip that apart and kill it off.
Reynor now once again remaxing, still sitting at 90 drones. He has a huge bank and 2.4k minerals compared to the Maru, who is not even reached max yet. But again, you got to keep those upgrades in mind. Maru, he's been pushing very slowly down towards the bottom left side of the map. And what he's doing is he is getting territory. He is setting up siege tanks. He's even producing additional siege tanks. He is clearing the creep. He is going to make it harder and harder for Reynor to finally get the engagement that he needs. And I feel like once Maru gets 3-3 on the board, that's probably when he's going to pull the trigger on this attack. But slowly, incrementally, you see him just tightening his grip on Reynor here in the bottom left side. That hatchery, there's basically no more creep buffer between that and Terran's army. And I mean, these ling counterattacks are excellent here for Reynor, especially paired with these mutas. They're alleviating a lot of the pressure. But I'm scared for Reynor because that 3-3, once Maru finally does pull the trigger, it's gonna be so terrifying tasteless.
Yeah, I mean, Maru is taking a ton of damage back here with the workers. It's very difficult to chase this all down. You can really see, you know, when you don't have turrets layered everywhere, the mutalisks can just freely roam. That hatchery over there was taken out. I think that's completely acceptable here for Reynor. Maru is still going to have a lot more work to be done here. He is going to go for this other base on the far right, and I think, you know, Reynor should have something, yeah, he does, to try to take this out, and so he's going to save that in just the nick of time.
3-3 now done for Maru, so if there's a window for him to get some damage, it's right now where he is maxed with, what, 120 army supply, 3-3 to only the +1 infantry weapon, or melee attack here of Reynor, and it looks like Maru, he's setting his sights right now on this 3 o'clock base. That hatchery very low on HP, just a small force of units going to take that down, and now he's pivoting back towards the center. He needs to find an angle that's going to be difficult for Reynor to come in from all sides, and now Maru maybe a little bit strained by all this pressure that Reynor's putting onto him. You see these siege tanks just not really supported here in the front lines. Maru was building these tanks up until a moment ago, so they have been part of the game plan for a while. And now just losing those on the bottom left, it's mostly just going to be Thor and Marine, matter of fact, Marauder pushing down. These Banelings, they're going to be hard-pressed to find good connections here off creep. Maru has done an excellent job of controlling the creeps right here in the bottom left corner of the map, Tasteless.
Yeah, a big attack down here in the bottom left. I got to say, Maru's kind of making it work, man. Reynor does not... Okay, I thought he was going to not attack in there. Reynor does not seem to be confident in fighting the main core army, and he's starting to lose some of these smaller little skirmishes over here. I love the cleanup on the SCVs over here with the Lings. The mutas eventually pull away, but not without a lot of losses. Nikes connects onto the Banelings, and the depots are going to be torn down here.
I think these are some really smart moves that Reynor is making because he has such a big bank. He's like, why not just alleviate the pressure by throwing groups of unit like this and just trying to further handicap the economy of Maru? But the fact is that Maru, he's staying resilient. And in this situation, I was wondering, you know, maybe he doesn't rebuild these SCVs and just maxes on like 140, 150, 160 supply of army and then goes for a killing blow. He's still trickling the SCVs out, so he's actually looking to stabilize against this. But you know, there is always that double-edged sword of going for this harassment in the late game where, yeah, you killed all these SCVs and you do have a bank, but what happens if Maru, with this massive army supply, 137 on the board right now, what if he takes the decisive fight and you aren't able to remax enough to really deal with remnants of his army, you know? I mean, the firepower here for Terran is just massive.
Okay, he's going to get a pretty good angle. Maru going to be able to shave off a lot of what's left there for the Zerg. 36 SCVs down, but he actually has 59 to boot. So, I mean, he's still got an incredible engine to develop here behind it. When I look at the map, I feel like Reynor's losing this. Some of the fights from Reynor have been exciting, but the reality is Maru is leaning so far kind of squishing Reynor in this position. Another hatchery goes down. I don't feel like Reynor can get a base up anywhere. I think Maru can basically crush, blink, keep away, and then pull back out again like we just saw here.
Yeah, and so now the problem for Reynor is going to be pretty soon. If he can't secure this base in the bottom left and the base at the 3 o'clock, if they keep getting sniped like this, he's going to run out of gas. You know, he does have the 4K mineral bank, but only 1K gas. The gas guys in the main base and the natural expansion, they're probably going to start running out of gas pretty soon. And Maru can basically just keep entering the fight like this, micro back, off creep, focus down all these units, and yeah, you're stimming, you're losing some HP. These counterattacks from Reynor have been excellent. They've gotten a lot of damage done. Even I think this planetary is going to fall. But for Reynor, if he can't get one of these bases secured in the bottom left or the 3 o'clock, there is the chance that he runs out of steam. It's just the pressure that he keeps throwing back onto Maru, it keeps giving him all of this breathing room. It's this very delicate dance that Reynor is doing to try and stay alive. You know, one misstep right here, if Maru is able to just clean up one of these run-bys and collapse on these expansions and deny the mining there from Reynor, Zerg could be in a lot of trouble. But Reynor has just been so active in so many different sections of the map that Maru really has never been able to hit that stride besides sniping a couple of bases.
Big Ling counterattack comes in again. I think it's still possible for Reynor to take this. I mean, he's got the bank, right? If he can push up here and take this base out, this one just up here, and keep the infantry busy over there, yeah, the damage is out too fast. If he could push in here even more, maybe he's got a shot. It seemed like for a while Reynor was making this, Maru was making this work, but now the damage on the ground might just be too much from Reynor.
I think the economic bleeding is now finally starting to catch up to Maru.
Yeah, you know, he's down to 42 workers where Reynor's been at 81. He's been, you know, between 81 and 100, I think, for pretty much this whole game. So, you know, even if he's losing bases, he's still getting resources mined, so he's still able to crank out quite a bit. Some of these bases are actually super saturated, so those are workers that were evacuated from earlier destroyed bases and haven't been redirected onto new minerals.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things for why Reynor is doing a lot better now than he was just a moment ago in terms of these trades specifically is that he has bought himself so much time, so much breathing room that he's been able to close the gap on the upgrades. Maru had 2-2 when Reynor didn't even have +1 melee and +1 carapace yet. The upgrade differential was huge, but now everyone is fully upgraded, and so for Reynor, he's getting a lot more value out of these units. Yes, Maru is still finding angles, like taking down this expansion here in the center of the map, but Reynor's been doing a lot more of a, you know, much better job of actually getting damage done with attacks like this one. I mean, these are even more SCVs going down. Oh, some really fancy micro right there, garrisoning and then ungarrisoning the SCVs in the planetary to dodge the bailing shots. Maru, he is feeling the pressure on these bases here in the center. It is not just Reynor who's having a hard time gathering from the center of the map.
You know, he's got so much damage on the board that, you know, Maru has to pick up or lose a command center. If Reynor can just loop around with even the smallest counterattack of Lings and or Banes and hit that 12 o'clock, maybe even like 1 o'clock base. Oh, I speak of the devil. All right, he's going to move in with that right now. And I don't know. I think Maru's going to be pretty hard-pressed to try to stay viable in this game. You know, his 3 main bases are going to mine out. We're deep enough into this game where those areas are going to dry up. And while Reynor's lost a lot of bases, he's still kept enough where he's got resources he's been stoking in. He's at 2.5K minerals, 1.2K gas. So that's a lot. I mean, the gas here for Maru he can spend in the blink of an eye. Not the case here for Reynor.
So many ultras right now, just huge connections on those Marauders. And you know, for Maru, I'm wondering if he's ever going to hit max supply again. He's sitting at only 34 workers. Yeah, he's at 180, but there's just so much coming in right now. These ultras, even with minimal support from Lings on the ground, able to take some good fights. Now, they are going to have to micro away, retreat from that huge concave that Maru had. But Reynor, I feel like he's just not running out of steam. He's been building momentum ever since that he finally caught up on upgrades. It's like he unlocked his full potential. He secured these bases in the center of the map. He's got those extra Vespian geysers, so no longer is he worried about potentially running out of gas. He's further fleshing out his tech tree. He's got a second Spire. He's adding in Corruptors, either to take down, you know, the starport units of Terran or potentially even go into Broodlords later on in the game. Whereas Maru is really just struggling to even mine at this point. 31 SCVs in total and only just now resaturating the 9 o'clock expansion.
Basically, Reynor's winding up for the killing blow here. He's going to move in. He's got the ultras. I mean, you could try to stutter step micro all day. Oh God, the Liberators are actually kind of crazy here. Can these Banes actually get through? It's a bit of a log jam.
Yeah, but they finally get through. Baneling's now looking for the big connections here on the Marines and the Marauders. Oh, they are running so fast, but the fungal is massive, coming in for the flanking infestor. Critical damage being dealt here to Maru. GG is called, and Reynor with some flashy control. He survived immense pressure from Maru by just counterattack after counterattack. He was able to overcome this huge upgrade differential and navigate what was really a very difficult mid-game where, as Zerg, you need to expand towards the Terran at the 3 o'clock in the center of the map. He was able to do it. He was able to weather the storm despite even losing the creep spread basically all the way up to his front door. That was a sick game. Reynor is playing some really cool ZBT.
You know, it's impressive. He just stuck with that tech. You know, one of the things about Ultralisk Ling Bane is like, the Terran can stim and run away, and I think Widow Mines are devastating, especially if they connect on those Banelings. But, you know, you're going to lose your command center. You're going to lose the workers. And Reynor just had enough of the map. He was able to lash out, and to the point where Maru was mined out at those bases. And with that final blow, and especially that, it was the perfect fatality ender, right? The fungal on the last group of units to erase any ability to kite. Great closer there. We're going to go to ley lines now for map number 2. And see who's going to be eliminated, either Maru or Reynor.
All right, Maru spawning as the blue Terran in the top right, Reynor the red Zerg in the bottom left. One map went away from eliminating Maru from the GSL here on the round of 8. I see Maru
rolling that shoulder.
Yeah, it's a point of tension for him. He said before that he's focusing a lot on preparing for EWC and preparing for GSL. These tournaments mean a lot to him, but it's difficult playing through an injury. He's even skipping out on competing in other tournaments as a result to it, just trying to keep his form, but yeah, it's just, you play at the level of Maru. I mean, think about, what, 15 plus years of practice to be a top player in the game.
Yeah,
world class. It takes a toll.
It does, it does. I mean, injuries come. I've had my own issues with injuries in my wrists, had to take a long time off as well. But, you know, let's see what he can do. Just 2 more days to try to play through this. Probably plenty of time to try to rest up. Want to see if he's going to play in the next season at GSL as well here. We might find out in the interviews here as well how the conditions of his wrists and hands, or the rationale for picking Protoss back there. So, you know, I don't know if anything crazy is going to happen in the early game. I don't know if Reynor would try to go for, like, let's say, you know, what Rogue's done, where he goes Roach Ravager and tries to smash the Terran. That seems to, if it's not Rogue doing it tomorrow, it seems to be pretty ineffective. Reynor wanted to play kind of an honorable Zerg game, right? He went for the classic comp of Ling, Baneling, macro, and it looks like he's actually going to catch this Overlord. This Overlord can't get over the smoke, right?
Reynor is baiting this out with 6 Lings tasteless.
Oh my God.
He's like, hey, I got this Overlord over here.
Oh no,
lift
my supply.
Lift your barracks.
Not.
Oh, I love this move by Reynor.
He's going to block. He's going to block. He's going to block.
Yeah, he's coming in. Maru doesn't realize that there's just drones coming in behind this. Oh, he's actually not even going to get the Marines. I cannot believe both Marines survived this. That was such a cool play by Reynor to move in with the Overlord. He knows that Maru loves to, after that second Marine is done, lift up the barracks and go for the kill, and he tried to punish him for that.
Great
He tried
setup.
to block the barracks from getting back into the wall and from building the add-on. He tried to kill those early Marines. Behind it, 6 Roaches in production. So the early game, it wasn't exactly what Reynor wanted. He wasn't able to get those Marines. He wasn't able to delay the barracks. But I love the idea because he's trying to kill Maru right now with this push.
It's crazy. I was talking about how he was like an honorable Zerg in the last game. This is a real tactical, brainy opener that he's doing this time around. So he's basically injured the Marines. He's slowed down everything for Terran. There's roaches inbound. If he can go around, he's going to try to draw the Hellion back. It's working. Oh, my God.
Wow.
This is some big brain stuff. So he's letting the Lings kind of chase this around. But the roaches just destroy Hellions. Hellions can't really fight them. They don't do enough damage. He's even playing hide and seek with some of the Lings. He's got the roaches so close. He's making Ravagers, by the way.
Yeah, Maru has
Look at
no
this.
idea.
He's doing such a good job.
Yeah, the Hellion's still chasing, and now finally the Roaches are going to come in. Behind this, Reynor is droning, but there is a big opportunity for him to get damage done. Kill this depot, force a liftoff, get these add-ons killed, slow down the machine that is Maru. Already one Ravager is done. That's going to be joining the forces here at the front lines very soon. These 4 Roaches just focusing down the SCVs. Take any damage that you possibly can. A lot of those Marines already injured from the initial engagement.
Dude, they're so low.
This is good damage here for
bunker's
Reynor.
like halfway done. Good micro here by Reynor. He's going to pull this away, and he actually loses the targeting on that.
Yeah, behind all of this, Reynor has been able to take a worker lead.
He's going to lift.
Oh, lifting.
It's kind of a weird moment.
Yeah, decides to land it back down. Oh, finally with that Cyclone able to kill the Ravager.
And I think this is going to end here. The tank's going to be out soon.
Yeah, but very nice early game here for Reynor. And just think about how much more powerful this could have been if those Marines actually went down and the Lings were able to stop that barracks. I mean,
it would have been all about just killing off that bunker, you know, at that point in time.
Just very crafty early game build here from Reynor, showing a lot of range.
There's some counterplay here. You know, Roaches, they're slow, clunky units.
That range
and so with the medevac, they do just get punished pretty easily, especially with the Cyclone.
Those Ravagers, although they are quite squishy, they have pretty good DPS.
A little bit of miss micro here by Maru.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky.
So what does he actually have to fight this now? We see drones being pulled away. He realizes these can't be allowed to stay over here.
Yeah, there's no Ling speed just yet. It's about a third of the way done. It's mostly just Queens. I think we have at least, we have 4 in total. I was going to say it's surely not just these 3 Queens on the front line here. As Reynor's mostly just been droning up behind this. And Maru recognizes that he's taking a 3rd command center now. He's going into Banshees. So things are going to mostly normalize here. I feel like Reynor, with that opening push, had he gotten those Marines, would probably be in a very advantageous position. As it is right now, things a lot more even than they otherwise would be. I mean, worker counts effectively equal, 44 to 43. Reynor probably going to surpass Maru in short order here as he gets a couple of drone rounds in with his new expansion set up. But there is potential here for Maru to get some damage done with this Banshee. Cloak is done. This Sport Crawler only about 75% complete, so a couple of drones are going to fall.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a great job getting back into this game. He's killed a decent number of drones so far. The Banshee's still kind of a headache to deal with. He needs to be careful not to overextend. Oh, my God.
That transfuse was so cool.
That was crazy. So, Starport not landed. A little sloppy back there for Maru. 3rd CC is done. To be honest, I had not looked in his base or thought about it since the counterattack had come in here. We got 1-1 upgrades coming here from Reynor. So this game could end up in the same kind of place we saw, at least tech-wise, in the previous game.
Yeah, I really think it's up to Maru to decide how he wants this game to go behind this. In the previous game, he opted to go for a relatively fast 4th command center. I mean, relative to the prevalent 8-racks play that we've been seeing in GSL thus far this season. But I feel like in this game here, given that you've gotten a couple of drone kills, you saw how delayed that 3rd hatchery was here for Reynor. You were able to effectively parry the Roach Ravager push without taking too much damage, only a couple of SCVs. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like an 8-racks play coming in from Maru, despite the fact that the 3rd command center wasn't that quick, just because Reynor's economy also is a little bit far back. It's a relatively low eco game here as far as TVZ is concerned.
Okay, an unload over here. How prepared is Reynor for this? This is the oh-so-important 4th base. Dive in here with the Marines. Nice transfuses. Keeps those Queens alive long enough. Ends up doesn't drop a single one. Medevac's pretty low on HP. The Banshee's coming here for the side swipe and then decide to try to target down this Evo. Ooh. Is there a transfuse available? It feels like it's a long ways away from killing that.
Yeah, another skirmish down in the 6 o'clock position happening off screen.
1-1 about to finish.
All right, so 1-1, I believe is finished now for Maru. For Reynor, it's about complete. So there should be about a maybe 20, 25-second window where Maru will have a +2 advantage over the +1 here of Zerg. And I believe on the production tab, we also saw 3 more barracks. So no command center. This is going to be a lot of pressure coming in from Maru. And now Reynor might be paying the price a little bit for that early aggression because his economy hasn't had the time to ramp up the way that he normally would. And the army supplies really tell that story. It is 73 to 50 right now in favor of Maru, and it's not going to be the 8 racks parade push. We actually have a 4th command center coming in. But even with that 4th command center, this is going to be hard for Reynor to stop. Losing that 4th hatchery means losing a lot of larvae with a Ling-Baneling composition. And Maru, I mean, he is just in control of this side of the map right now, and he is knocking on the doorstep of this 3rd base.
Yeah, the damage is starting to mount, and it's looking very bad for Reynor. This could very well be one of these games where the Zerg just isn't able to get where the Zerg needs to be strong enough to take the Terran on later. The damage is just continuing to add up. The Banelings are going to come in here, but it's an easy pickup for these medevacs. Oh! He lost a decent amount. Can he unload back over here? Meanwhile, another drop coming here from the side.
Yeah, Reynor very wisely already having units in position to deal with that, anticipating Maru's next move. Some very good control here by Reynor, just with a scrappy defense of these drops and this push over by the 3rd base. Keep in mind, he's kind of fighting with one hand behind his back right now because the army supplies are just so far in favor of Maru. Now here we have Reynor perhaps going for a surround on this push all the way down on the bottom side, perhaps going for a counterattack. We're going to have to wait and see. But it feels like the machine that is Maru's army is just really starting to gather some steam. Finally, we do have these forces converging over here on the bottom side. They're able to clean up and unseat Maru from this position, but the natural expansion of Reynor is a little bit exposed. These Marines trading relatively cost efficiently.
Wow.
Reynor knows he's just out of steam, and he is just not able to keep up pace. And I mean, my mind just goes back to that initial Overlord. I think if it went to Reynor's game plan, that Overlord would probably survive with like a couple of hits left from those Marines. A couple of hits left from those Marines. He would have been able to kill those 2 initial Marines, cause a lot of problems on the front door. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. The Overlord went down. Both Marines somehow miraculously survived those 6 Lings attacking them and even got behind the wall. And then the Roach follow-up, although it was a good play there from Reynor, I love to see it. It just wasn't able to get the damage that he needed, and I feel like Maru was even further ahead from that position than even we realized, because the momentum building from there with Maru's economy and army just developing at scale compared to Reynor's was just like at least 1 tempo ahead. Reynor really had no answer for the pressure because his economy just wasn't in a position where he could fund the defense.
Yeah, it was one of those losses. You know, it was like a stake to the heart of the Zerg. Oh, well, never mind. Forget my... I thought I had some more time to fill, guys. I was about to wax poetic, but it's too late. We're going into this next game. Reynor versus Maru. Who will survive and who will be eliminated? Let's find out. All right, Maru in the bottom left, Reynor in the top right. Yeah, you know, what I was trying to say before we had to just, outro that. It was one of those games, you just end up stopping the Zerg right in that sweet spot, right on that 4th base or 5th base, before they get, too big to fail, too vast to conquer. And, the question is going to be, how does Reynor play around that? Now, we got to also point out the brilliance of what Reynor did in the start of Game 2, and the fact that it didn't maybe get that kind of jaw-breaking damage in there is sort of why Maru was able to get back into the game. He went for this fake out. By the way, you caught this, State. I was kind of just like ruminating about, the whole matchup and how Reynor went from Muta's last game. But, the 6 Lings coming in there and the Overlord to bait out the 2 Marines. He didn't perfectly surround the Marines. It didn't kill them. He did conceal the Roach attack pretty nicely. But even though he did a lot of damage with the Roach Ravagers, with a Medevac and a Cyclone and Marines, you can actually chase that back and kill it. And then there's just sort of this endless pressure from Maru. I almost wonder if it's better for Reynor to open up, with kind of a milquetoast generic, vanilla ice cream, Cheerios for breakfast Zerg opener, like just I'm trying to macro, I'm trying to play safe and play a clean game, and then make sure his mid game is super covered and go into late game again.
I don't think that's going to happen, Tasteless. We have a gas pull opening from Reynor, and
So
he's
he's going for
still
blood
harvesting gas. He's getting Ling speed very quickly. And I'm pretty sure it's 2 drones still on the Vespin Geyser. Reynor is out for blood. He wants to kill Maru. He does not want to go into a late game scenario. And I'm wondering which tech choice it's going to be here.
Well, we're moments away from finding out. The first Reaper is going to come up. We need to see what this Reaper can find, by the way. When Zerg's doing something a little sneaky, it's important that, you know, the Zerg denies the Reaper from sealing it, that the Zerg plays a game that looks pretty ordinary, that looks a run-of-the-mill, so to speak. And right now, there is nothing, I guess, suspect yet out here.
Yeah,
does
Maru
get the nade in there. Does see the drones mining gas.
Maru might have clicked that Vespin Geyser and realized how much has been mined. But I'm so intrigued by what Reynor is doing. Okay, it's a very fast lair is the choice here. Now, I'm a little bit taken aback by this opening here from Maru, or from Reynor. I feel like I haven't seen something it's exactly like this before.
Yeah. Well, you know, could it be a Nidus? We've had a lot of 3 command center plays.
Maybe. I mean, it's worth noting, okay, it's Overlord speed coming in. This is really crazy what Reynor is doing. By the way, we have a 3rd command center here for Maru.
Yeah. Hold on.
Hellions getting reactored out. 2nd barracks is in production. Do we have more queens in production? No, it's just Lings right now. And Maru, he's playing this very conservatively. The Reaper is going to get surrounded, but Maru, he knows that something is in the cards here. He was keeping those Hellions at the top of the ramp because he was anticipating a move like that coming in from Reynor. Are we just going to have Overlords just drop Lings in the main base of Maru? Like, what is this? I mean, 2 Overlords morphing now. Are we going to have the Queens and the Lings just go straight? I feel like we've seen this in GSLs a long time ago, but usually on maps with very close air distance. I haven't seen something like this on Dogbuck. All right, here we go, Tasteless.
Well, a love letter to the ladder experience.
Yeah, for sure. 2 more morphing all the way over there on the left side. Maru spots this basically as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, so
Fucker's immediately getting thrown down. 2 of them in the natural expansion. We'll see if he builds one in the main base. Now, I don't think he realizes exactly how high octane this aggression is going to be because there's also 2 full Overlords of Lings going into the main base of Maru where there is no defense at all. Now we do have the full wall in here for Maru at the front, engineering base because they add an HP a little bit faster than the other units. And now all the units dropping here right in the natural expansion, Tasteless.
The SCVs are pulled. The wall in with the E-base is blocking out a considerable amount of these Lings. It's a hard fight to call. The Lings are going to spill in. The creep goes down. The Queens are just continuing to do so much damage. I think Maru might be dead.
Oh my god, I think Reynor has done it. What a crazy build here that we didn't expect, that Maru didn't expect, and Maru eliminated in the round of 8. Reynor is going to be going to the final match against GuMiho. He had one more trick up his sleeve. Wow, what a play there from Reynor. Oh man, some creative builds in this series, some great resilience in game number 1. And in 2025, we have Maru knocked out in the round of 8.
Yeah, and you know, I got to really commend Reynor for the way he handled that. You know, when you see the drop spotted, a lot of times at pro level, StarCraft 2, you know, seeing a drop halfway across the map is enough, but he didn't know about that second drop. The fact, like you were saying, State, it was so high octane. At the same time, when the eBay wall came up, which by the way, that is the answer. A double eBay wall setup, a double bunker to ensure safety, maybe even a triple bunker is the way to do it. You know what's so smart about what he did? Because I think in some games you would have dropped the main and then also dropped, you know, and attacked the entrance. He just dropped everything and snowballed that damage. Crazy stuff. Guys, we're not done yet. Reynor versus GuMiho is coming up next. We will be right back.
inside will set you free. Ooh.
Chip that's inside of me. I came here ready to ride. I'm ready to ride. Hey. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to. I don't let no one in front of me. Number one and always gonna be at my best, and I still elevate. All the rest are gonna have to wait. I came here ready to ride. Hey. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to ride. I came here ready to. Let's go.
This is it, everybody. We're closing out the round of 8, and my God, man, tomorrow we're going to be back with the round of 4 in the finals. You know, usually when I say this is it for the round of 8, we still have weeks before we crown a champion here at the GSL. Not anymore, not right now. So, Reynor and GuMiho are going to be going at it. And look, if Reynor can beat Maru, one would assume Reynor can beat GuMiho. But GuMiho is a very, very different kind of Terran. He's very hard to prepare against. He's almost a bit of a fourth race, if you will. So this should be an interesting match.
Yeah, he's very crafty, very clever. I'm sure he's also going to have some tricks planned for Reynor, specifically coming in this one. Now, Reynor has looked really good today. I'm thinking back to the first game that we saw him versus Classic. He was on fire. Unfortunately, he lost that series 2-1, but you know, the matches that he also played against Maru, showcasing some really diverse builds in Game 2 and Game 3, a solid macro game in Game number 1. Reynor is just looking very good. He looks like he deserves to be in the round of 4, and Here he is going up against GuMiho. One of these guys at the end of today is going to the round of 4, and one of them is going home. Who will it be? We are about to find out. Let's kick off the final best of 3 of the day.
And as a reminder, everybody, Reynor advancing here. This will be the first time there has been a non-Korean in the Final 4. I believe since Jinro.
Maybe Neve. I can't remember if it was a Super Tournament or a GSL Code S.
Oh, I'm not counting Super Tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there was Super Tournament. You're right. But yeah, I mean, for the kind of these longer form tournaments, yeah. Look, the point is like we just never had this basically.
It's uncharted territory.
It's super rare, and when it was happening, it was in a very different era. You know, you go back to when Jinro did it. That was when there was just like a lot of foreigners here. That was before we even knew that StarCraft 2 would be big everywhere. I was part of the Korea experiment, as were you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people that made the pilgrimage out here and thought this would work. You know, maybe in the English language, maybe there'd be some foreign fans. Now, you know, StarCraft 2 is actually much bigger outside Korea. Did not see that one coming. But still, you know, the legacy of this tournament has been one that has been dominated by Koreans. But I'll never forget when I casted Sarah winning BlizzCon. And I remember even kind of being in my head where I'm like, oh my God, it's happening, you know. Like basically not able to quite detach from the actual event itself. And, you know, I always thought it was going to happen in GSL sooner, but maybe it'll happen this time around. But if it does, it may very well happen with Reynor.
It's certainly possible. I remember when, you know, he first announced that he's going to be living in Korea for, you know, some amount of time and competing in GSL. This was, I want to say it was last year or the year before. It's all a little bit hazy to me when I try to think back. And a lot of people, myself included, were thinking that he might be one of these guys. I mean, he certainly has the potential. He's a world champion that can go to the round of 4 and beyond in the GSL. And unfortunately for Reynor, his story in the GSL up until this point has not been that. He's been struggling a lot in the early groups. He has said in interviews that he was getting inside his own head a little bit.
Yeah.
And I find it must be very relieving for him to finally have that monkey off his back and advance from the round of 12 into the round of 8. And now you could see him really showing why he is the player that he is. He is playing to his ability. He is unlocking his potential here in the GSL the same way that he would at any other tournament anywhere else in the world, and it is just so thrilling.
So, you know, one thing about Maru and the way he plays, he's not usually flashy early on. I know he had a period where he like double racks, triple racks all the time, but he doesn't do that as much anymore. But, you know, he's a bit of a kind of supercomputer Skynet Terran.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, if it was a chess game, always an E4 opening or a queen pawn opening. But, you know, he basically builds himself into an unstoppable machine the longer the game goes on. And Reynor proved he can hang against that. He did that in game 1. And then Reynor relied on some pretty crazy tactics in this one. In this game, we got the Overlord getting hit.
Yeah, this is a pretty cheeky play coming in from
and a bunker coming down.
I like this quite a lot. There was, I think, a safety roach for him. I don't believe Reynor was keyed in that this was happening until very recently. Going down, and I imagine it's just going to be roaches that are going to be the way that he clears the path on this. But this is what we were talking about when we said that GuMiho just kind of plays to the beat of his own drum. Nobody really plays StarCraft 2 Terran exactly the way that he does. And look at this. We have a bunker rush at the 3rd base that was unscattered until this Overlord flew in over here. That hatchery might be going down. These queens are already very low on HP. 5 roaches are in production. The queens, they basically are forced down here. This is going to potentially lead to an opening.
Nice
okay,
block.
No, he saw this coming. There's a spore door, Tasteless.
Oh, it's old spore door's back.
Yeah, blocking in the wall. So here we have the Hellions now coming in on the flank. Gonna be able to snipe at least one of those. And this is a lot of damage done. GuMiho confirming, yes, my Hellions cannot shimmy past that spore crawler.
It's not done yet. He's gonna try to come down and make it work. The Hellions are gonna come back over here. The hatchery is so low.
Hatchery's going down. Dude, GuMiho is so sick. Even those Hellions just catching one more queen. I mean, what a clever play coming in like this. So much damage being done. The worker counts behind this basically equalized because Reynor has to invest so much larva and so many minerals, and getting the roaches on the board to just clean this up behind it. No, GuMiho's macroing. He's going for the Banshee. He's adding in, I think, a third command center. And I don't know if we have additional barracks. We might even have mech. I mean, it's just factory units and starport units right now.
So, I was talking about how, Maru's kind of a supercomputer early. It's totally not what GuMiho is. GuMiho is going to do something weird and unique in almost every game. More builds than anybody else in the game, in my opinion. And that's exactly what we had back there. Beautiful bunker rush on the third. Is there some kind of a wind-up counterattack that Reynor can deliver here? I don't actually know. And honestly, like, behind this is double eBay, it's third command center. An untouched GuMiho should be a wrecking ball as we get into the mid game here.
Yeah, it is not going to be mech. So I'm a little bit sad. Would have loved to see some Gumi mech today. Maybe we'll later on in the series, but yeah, double engineering bay, 2 more barracks being thrown down. And behind that pressure that he went for, there is a lot of greed. With the double eBay, the super fast third command center. And you can see that being reflected by the worker count, 48 to 48 right now. Reynor, I want to see that production tab. Okay, we just had another round of drones just finish up for him. He's building a lot of roaches, though. I'm curious where this is going with the roaches, because I think that's also Overlord speed being researched. We have 5 queens. I mean, there is a world where Reynor's like, all right, I'll have a, yeah, there it is. The Overlord morphs in, and we have an Overseer, and he moves across the map with speed roaches and queens. I think this is Reynor getting ready to be pretty aggro tasteless.
Yeah.
Cool. I like this change.
I think he's got to. I was going to say, if he tries to play from behind, I don't like this at all. I think he has to come back and punch twice as hard.
The thing is, GuMiho is actually setting up pretty well defensively for this. Now, I think GuMiho's senses are going to be tingling a little bit, seeing these Overlords with speed, and now certainly, of course, seeing the roaches moving cross-map. GuMiho already has a bunker in front of the natural expansion. There is 1 siege tank there already. He's repairing the Banshees because he knows they're going to be fighting here against these queens. Oh, man, he's trying to focus down this Overlord. Another one's going to have to morph. This is really going to stymie the push.
Can he transfuse it? He should be able to transfuse it and
I think
push
you need creep, don't you?
Oh, of course. Yeah, what am I saying? Yeah.
I mean, maybe he could drop it from the Overlords, but yeah. No, one of them is going to be going down. That was, in fact, an Overseer, so now these queens just going to be slowly walking in. Stim for the Marines. Bunker is going to be going down. GuMiho, he has been able to buy himself a lot of time. Those Overlords now dropping the creep. Creep Timbers also being thrown down here. More Roaches and Ravagers, I assume, are in production. We're going to have to wait and see. There is a lot on the line with this attack, but...
Oh, God, the queens are kind of separated here.
Yeah, it's awkward.
And he needs to get this drop. Oh, my God, the drop over's going to get targeted. He gets all 3 queens out. He's going to target that Banshee and drive it back. The Banshee is what's going to let him hold the ground here for Terran.
Dude.
Not quite enough.
The micro from GuMiho, though, with the Banshees and the Vikings, just completely stopping the queens from gaining any ground. I mean, the queens are really kind of the linchpin that makes all of this work for Reynor, because they can deflect the Banshees and secure the ground. Now it's like you have, like, in PvZ, you kind of don't see the same thing because of oracles, right? The Banshees serve the same role. There's this unit in the sky that deals a ton of DPS, focusing down roaches, focusing down ravagers. And without the queens, I mean, GuMiho, just props to him for identifying exactly what the situation is and microing precisely what he needed to do, because there are so many different ways you could try to get value out of your units with a control right there. And GuMiho's, you know what? It's the Viking focusing down the Overlords. It's the Banshees being just out of range of the queens. I stopped those queens, I'm stable, and now we have a GuMiho who is safely on 3 bases with double eBay already at 1-1 going up against a Roach Ravager Reynor. Yes, the supplies are equal, but that's Roach Ravager, man. They're pretty inflated in supply. GuMiho's army, there are so many tanks. I think this is 2 factory tank tasteless.
It must be.
Oh my, there's so many tanks. This is crazy. The Biles connect with 2 of them right there on the front line. They clean them up, but there is just too much left. GuMiho, I did not respect your game. What a push coming here into the 3rd base. I mean, talk about a pendulum swing from Reynor going on to the aggression to this counterattack from GuMiho. That hatchery, it is so low on HP tasteless. The reinforcements now coming in. Biles somehow actually killing a medevac. But the army supply is really just telling this story right now. Reynor, he's trying to converge these forces. All these reinforcements now coming in. Missile attacks is done, so these roaches going to fare a little bit better, but I think there just isn't enough firepower left in the Zerg force. These roaches, they're trickling in very slowly. GG is called, and GuMiho I mean, a very crafty build. Beautiful micro to deal with that attack and then just the perfect counter. And I wonder when that second factory got added, I was so keyed in to what Reynor was doing that I wasn't watching GuMiho develop. But of course, it's GuMiho. He's going to do something different. He's not going for 8 racks. He's going to add a second factory and push you with like, what, 6 tanks, 7 tanks? Something crazy so early in the game. That was awesome. And this is why everybody is afraid of GuMiho, is you never know what you're going to get in a series. Like a series against him, it's just a Pandora's box of potential builds. And for Reynor now, I mean, you've shown that you have a wide array of what you can do against Maru, against GuMiho with these aggressive plays, but it's match point. This is a best of 3. Reynor needs 2 map wins in a row, and GuMiho can throw any kind of curveball he wants, and he will be going into the round of 4. Everything is on the line right now for Reynor.
Persephone is going to be our map. Reynor needs to have a clean opening to have a strong mid and late game. Either that or he has to get aggressive and start to pull out his own tricks before GuMiho can even get started. Let's see what goes down. Okay, Zerg in the bottom left, GuMiho in the top left here. This is the map with the little healing zones on it. I don't know if it's going to be a big factor or not. I feel like we talk about it and then it never really comes up, but put it out there again, I guess.
Yeah, plus the speed zones. We have seen that be pretty impactful.
Speed zones, actually, yeah, have played a larger role.
With stimmed bio, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, all you got to do is boost a medevac through that, and you can travel back in time. The
gas first, by the way, for GuMiho.
Yeah.
I wonder where he's going to go with this. Winner of this series, by the way, I think will, if my bracket building is right, I think we'll advance to play Hero. Currently, we have 2 Protoss players, Hero and Classic, 1 Terran player, Cure, and no Zergs at the round of 4. So Reynor really the last Zerg, fighting for his life in GSL right now.
So, you know, Reynor's going to be hyper vigilant for any weirdness, but super fast gas is kind of hard to ferret out. You know, it's hard to identify immediately. You know, that last little bunker rush we had, that's kind of like a tournament one-off, so to speak. Like, that's like one of these builds you pull out once, and it's like you only have one of those cards in the deck. in the tournament deck, by the way, I'm not talking about it in the best of 3 deck. I mean, like, you know, in a long-form tournament where everybody's kind of spying on each other and studying each other, that's a great one-off. But
that's a great way to describe it.
Yeah, but how will GuMiho play this time around? You know, Reynor, by the way, I think also we saw a little bit of that in the 2 games, one that he lost and one that he won. Like that 6-sling attack in there, he's not going to be doing that in other games. I don't know if he's going to necessarily have to or not. I can't remember who plays Cure. Is it second or first?
I believe Cure is against Classic. I think that is already set in Hero versus the winner of this series.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I might be doing the same thing. Anyways, you know, some of the stuff that Reynor tried, like especially that drop that he did against Maru in the last game, that's kind of like an emergency break glass build order.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have anything else right now, but I will use this. And I will take this day by day, this tournament.
It's something that we see very rarely, and I feel like usually it's like a map-specific thing that you would do on a map that has a very close air distance. And so it's even more unexpected on a more standard map like we saw against Maru. I can't remember the name of the map, but the fact that it just has kind of a standard base layout and you still go for that kind of push with the drop overlords was just some next-level thinking there from Reynor. And I do wonder if we're going to have some kind of tricks from him like that again in this series. I do know that Reynor has done a lot of prep for this GSL. And GuMiho behind this gas first opening, going into a really fast armory. I don't think we have a second factory. We do have more Hellions in production. With GuMiho, you never really know what he's going to do until he starts doing it. I mean, like, mech literally could be on the table here. We could even have some kind of, like, double factory go down and some battle mech thing comes out here from Gumi. It's just... I've given up. I gave up a long time ago trying to predict what this guy's going to do in any matchup.
Well, he's going to come down here. and try to poke it and do some damage. We've seen GuMiho do some stuff like this before. He's
Hell that Reaper push. All right.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of funny. I guess when you see the armor, you're supposed to know, but in my head, I feel like this doesn't ever work. But let's see what this actually does.
I mean, there's enough queens here that...
Every time I watch these attacks happen, I just see queens able to outmaneuver the Hellbats, and I'm always confused why people do this.
I feel like it works when there's something to complement the Hellbats. It works really well because they're more tanky.
Like Marines or something.
Yeah, just some other unit.
Yeah, you know, that's what I think. I kind of look at that and I go, well, I don't...
there we go.
I guess there's a healing zone.
Uh-huh. Whew, those Hellions
we finally got
to
to point it out. I'm so glad I brought it up this cast. Every time I talk about it, I'm like, it doesn't matter. He's going to try to attack it again. This is also one of those things where I feel like you see it once and you kind of, it'll be less effective every time it comes in. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, another factory in production, Tasteless. I think that's this. Yeah. Oh, 2 more factories.
He's going for mech.
I love it.
Now, he tends to go for more battle mech stuff.
Oh, and it's getting scouted too. Okay, GuMiho, now after you kill the overload, cancel it and throw down double eBay.
Yeah. Go with the real mind games.
Nah, it's going to be 2 more factories coming in. Is this just going to be straight up battle mech? Where are you going with this, GuMiho? So we do have more Banshees in production. Actually, I should say Banshee production is starting up here for GuMiho. I think we still have more Hellions being queued. I really just want to key in, hone in on that production tab. 3 factories. All right. Let's do this. 3rd command center too. So this is going to be any kind of like super gimmicky play. This is some real proper development from GuMiho. Like he's only a couple of workers behind Reynor. That 3rd command center is going to be getting planted at that expansion very quickly.
For the time being, Reynor's going to continue to grow out on the map. He is getting plenty of drones. This, you know, when you go for a mech like this, the factories, they kick in a little bit later, so things get started a little bit later. I don't think that the, Reaper Hellion's going to do a whole lot more. And I certainly think we can all agree that Hellbat initiation didn't do anything at all. So, I feel like Reynor's going to have a very comfortable game. The 5th base on this map is where you go to, like, this might not make sense, but if you look at the minimap, like, that's in layer 2 if you go from the bottom up. Any 5th base, assuming the Zerg took the very far bottom right, that's like a little bit closer to the Terran, and that'll be the new target to attack most likely.
4 Cyclones in production, plus 2 armor plating.
So he's going to go for that battle mech style, that very mobile, very fluid army that could be annoying. I mean, you think being kited by Marines with stim is annoying. When you get Cyclones, especially if the Zerg only has big, fat targets, it gets really, really hard to fight.
Yeah.
And this is going to be Roach play. I mean, he's getting, missile attack here. This is a clear investment in that style. I would say that it's never obvious if you see Hellbats at the start that it has to be mech, but I think it's more likely to be mech if you see GuMiho do it, because GuMiho just sort of likes he'll GuMiho will always create in a best of 5 or a best of 3 a game where he gets to play like this. It's almost like it's in his album. Like this is one of the songs he plays.
I'm GuMiho. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah,
it's just another mech
He's
game.
like, this isn't one of my greatest hits, but in my opinion, it's my magnus opus. I never understood why the fans didn't like this one the best.
Yeah, so this is going to be +2 armor battle mech with a Raven. I'm assuming just for, that Banshee is going to be, I am actually shocked that thing survived.
Yeah,
he has an armor shredding missile. Yeah, but this is a lot of Roaches coming out. Now the Cyclones are going to be able to lock on and kite away. I believe, I think it's called Magfield Accelerator. I'm always so bad at the Terran upgrade names.
Yeah,
just got research.
I'm guilty of this too. There's certain upgrades. I'm like, I never learned that. I just know what it does.
It's the one that increases the damage when they lock on. Yeah, that just got finished. Blue Flame is now being researched by GuMiho as well. He's continuing to expand with this. Oftentimes when we see this kind of battle mech style, it's usually like a super gimmicky, almost 2-base play where you're basically all in. If you build a 3rd command center, you're not really planning on saturating it. It's almost like a red herring where you want the Zerg to think you're macroing out, but really you're just trying to commit to this attack. Whereas GuMiho is doing this in a way where it's like going to be his main army camp composition for the foreseeable future. He's starting +3 plating. We have Swarm Hosts from Reynor. Actually missed this on the production tab. 11 Swarm Hosts were made.
I completely missed this. I'm like, what?
Wait, this unit's in the game?
So there's a Nidus that's going to come into play here. He might try to throw that into the main. Sometimes with Swarm Hosts out here like this, you kind of force this position of trying to defend and negate snowballing of damage, and then the Nidus pops in the main. And like, Battle Mech is mobile because, you know, Cyclones are fast, obviously, but not like Medevac Marine, where you pick up, you drop, you pick up, and you drop. You can kind of relocate. I mean, in some ways, Terran is like the most mobile thing ever. This might have been too cavalier where he placed it. I think that's going to deny it. I wish the Observer would confirm that.
Yeah, there was a Banshee on it, so I think it's almost certainly going to get shut down.
I didn't see the Banshee. Okay, I just saw the SCVs pulled. So that means it's not going to work. So good denial there. The second Nidus is going to come up here.
Yeah, this one targeting the 4th base here for GuMiho. Just more Cyclones in production, and I mean, +3 armor play is going to be done so quick. It's going to be like almost the 11-minute mark. Kind of insane. All right, Swarmhost popping here from the Nidus all the way at the top right. And they're going to force GuMiho's army over here to the 1 o'clock position, and that's going to give this opening here for Reynor to just attack and unseat this expansion. And even though he only killed 4 SCVs, anything you can do to just disrupt the mining of the Terran opponent, where the resource that you're using is mobility, is going to be a win here for Reynor. You can see he's already far eclipsing GuMiho in the economic department. Despite only having a small worker lead, he's got like triple the bank in total. I feel like for Reynor here, a big part of his MO is just going to be trying to stop GuMiho from taking a 5th base, to just not really let Mech get too far out of control. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really see maxed +3 armor plating Battle Mech like this. I don't know what to expect for these fights, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Bailing's now coming in. Oh, armor shredding missile actually connecting with a lot of the Terran units there. The Bailing's got pretty good connections overall. GuMiho's supply is going to dip down to that 180. Swarmhost now converging with the Roaches and the Lings. And I feel like this trade has been really good for Reynor so far. I know that the Cyclones are getting value with a kind of move and shoot, but the Bailing connections were good. The Swarmhost got some pretty good damage done. GuMiho still has enough to push in, but a ton of Lings just finished. Adrenal's almost done. There is a real threat here for GuMiho, where Reynor comes in on the top side because there's very few Hellions, very few Hellbats left on the field since those Bailings had those connections. If Reynor can completely surround this Battle Mech army, I feel like he basically just decapitates the dragon and GuMiho's dead. This army cannot be replaced easily. GuMiho has very little gas in the bank.
We even saw a lot of that supply plummet pretty fast. He had enough factories he could remake it. Oh!
Here's the surround!
Here we go!
+3 armor plating is going to allow a lot more sustain on this, but the Lings, basically their main job there is to body block. But I mean, you see the damage difference. +1 melee versus +3 armor plating. That was not the big win that Reynor was expecting it to be, because the upgrades are so huge here for Terran.
Knight is going to come down here again. Terran's still functioning very nicely on 4 bases while Zerg's on 5. No fresh bases in sight. You know, we're at the phase now where Zerg is... Actually, I guess they both have so much supply and gas, they can kind of remake anything they want. We had the Greater Spire being made, so I assume Broodlings are going to be a factor here.
I mean, Reynor, I think he has so much money, he's just unlocking all of these options,
that
right?
could be it as well, right? You just try to get all the tech in the game and try to make it work in whatever way you can. Forcing cancels on these Banes. I thought perhaps the Swarmhosts were going to go into the Nidus and maybe try to shell the Bane with Locusts.
I feel like it's just all hands on deck right now in the defense, because Reynor recognizes if he lets GuMiho get too much value from this game could spiral out of control, and the creep spread's been so well controlled. This is so many Cyclones. Reynor's gonna be hard pressed to defend this. Bailing's coming in on both sides right now. Pretty good connections, but you're gonna see that the armor is making such a big difference in these engages. I mean, the Cyclones are getting hit by Lings and by Bailings, and they just aren't dying. The hatchery is going to fall right now. Reynor, I want to see the units tab. I think he's strapped for Larva. Yeah, only 3 Larva. He cannot spend his money, Tasteless.
Yeah, this is really bad. You know, it's funny because it was a trade on both sides, with the hatchery going down, the new command center up here at the top right. The Cyclones returning here to heal up.
Dude, this is comical how fast they are through these speed zones. You thought the Cyclone microing against the Cyclones off creep was bad enough. How about this alleyway where they move twice as fast? I feel like you maybe need like fungal or something here as Reynor to try and just stop the micro. I mean, this is just crazy. The problem for Reynor is also he wants to have a lot of Lings, just not even to really connect and dish out melee damage, but just to stop the Cyclones from being able to kite infinitely against the Roach Ravager. But the problem is it's so larva intensive, and he has been reset down to 4 hatcheries. GuMiho's on 5 bases. Right now he's taking a 6th. He's got a fusion core. He's getting +2 vehicle weapons. Things are just developing so rapidly in GuMiho's favor. And GuMiho, he doesn't need to go for a killing blow at this point. He can just try and stop Reynor from taking a 5th base. Reynor has to expand towards the Terran opponent, and there is literally no creep spread.
Yeah, I think if GuMiho can maintain the status quo right now, he's going to win this game.
I don't see how Reynor breaks out. Like, you need fungals, you need like the Lings to get us around, and even then, 22 Cyclones and what, 14 Hellions on the ground? I mean, it feels like the kind of game that only GuMiho can do, right? But it just is so hard to stop at this stage.
If Reynor can't stop this now, GuMiho is going to have everything on his side of the map, and it's going to be so easy to close out.
Okay, chain fungals on the Cyclones, Broodlords and Broodlings connecting really well on that. That was the win that Reynor needed. This is the first time in a while that he's actually been able to take a supply lead over GuMiho, and I feel like behind all this, yeah, this counterattack is fantastic, but Reynor needs to take additional bases. He does have a gas bank right now, but I think part of this is also Reynor doing the calculus of what units do I make, because I can only recharge really once more back to max, and then my economy, you know, I don't have a lot left in the tank. What is the perfect composition of units to try and deal with what GuMiho's throwing at me?
Now, you know, he did get in there with the Lings and do some damage. Reynor does have a decent amount banked. GuMiho, you know, he's got enough bases that his income is spiking up again. We got the Locust coming in here into the main. You know, it feels like these Swarm hosts never were able to do, you know what they would have ideally been able to get done here. He's actually going to go for, I think, for the starport here. He's trying to eliminate this, at least force a cancel.
I feel like the battle cruisers could be a real wrench in like the cogs here for Reynor, because right now he's still kind of struggling to stop the problem on the ground. And should that get complicated by, you know, GuMiho going to a lower worker count and mixing in battle cruisers, things could very quickly get out of hand, because even engagements like this are so tough for Reynor. Because of the lack of creep spread, because you need basically to chain fungals on those units to actually get the damage done. It's only 4 broods, it's only 5 infestors. But Reynor, I mean, it harkens back to the series he played earlier against Maru, where he was in basically an impossible situation, but was able to alleviate the pressure with just relentless counterattacks. It's one of the things that he does better than maybe any other Zerg in the world. And he has been able to buy space. He's trying to retake this expansion. GuMiho, you see on the minimap, instantly scans it. We have battle cruisers now just teleporting, I think, on top of this hatchery. Oh, just on top of the army, straight up. But the Biles! I mean, Reynor with an excellent response there. But I think GuMiho, he recognizes the infestors are the threat. He Yamato's them. He focus fires them down with the battle cruisers as well. He doesn't want the main army to get fungled, and that's going to allow him to kite basically to his heart's content.
He's going to try to push it now. There's so much over here right now for GuMiho. Maxed out. The Broodlings are coming down. They're getting in the way. They're keeping those Cyclones back. They're low in number. The Broodlords are. I don't know that Reynor can clean this up. He has to take care of this because he's going to be back on 4 bases, soon to be on 3 if he can't stop this now.
I think GuMiho is just about to break the back of Rainer's economy. Even this 4th base barely has any mining. It's halfway. It's halfway run out on the minerals, and it's going to go down.
Wow, GG.
GG. GuMiho is going to advance to the round of 4. Reynor, he was so close to those playoffs, but in the very end, the nine-tailed fox, GuMiho just free with all of his tricks.
I mean, look, I got to say, GuMiho came with a plan. The bunker rush at the start of game 1 allowed him to get into an easy position to close it out. And then in game 2, I mean, it was, you know, what flavor of ice cream? The GuMiho one. This was just like a type of game that I don't know if you could have practiced with any other Terran in the world and mapped out what you're supposed to do. I don't know if we're going to see it again in a while. GuMiho has so many different builds. We're going to be hopping into an interview now and seeing how GuMiho is feeling. He is the final player to move into that Final Four spot.
All right, we're gonna have an interview with GuMiho, who made it to round of 4. Congratulations. Thank you. So how do you feel advancing to the round of 4, GuMiho? Well, today, you know, I thought it was like do or die situation for me. And like Hero wished, I did finally pull through and make it to the round of 4. Well, thank God that you did advance, GuMiho, in the end. In the first match, Maru played his off-race Protoss. So what went through your mind back then? So I was thinking like, is he actually going to do it? And he did. And this happened to me before as well, against Clam. So I wasn't too, you know, I wasn't too startled. I wasn't too surprised. And you know, as long as I did shake him a little bit in the early game, I knew I had a chance. So in the first game, you know, the bunkering and the triple, was that ready? You know, I checked it with the SCV. I was able to check it earlier on. And then I knew that as long as I was able to build a bunker in time, I could defend it properly. And moving on to the second game, it feels like you had a little bit of problem with the optimization. Yeah, I should have done a better job. I couldn't. And I think that was a big mistake on my end. And you know, I was thinking of various things at the time, and then I really did miss out on the optimization. Thankfully, the opponent was playing a bit more passively, which gave me some leeway to reverse sweep. So you have to take down Hero, right, in the next round. So you got to be confident against him. You know, had I more time, I probably would have liked it more. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, I just got to focus. I just got to put my mind to it in the next round. And you know, Hero did wish some. He did send some good messages towards your way. What about you? Do you want to say anything to Hero? You know, I just want to say one thing to Hero. Go easy on me, bro. Alright, so any message to the global GuMiho fans? As I said, I thought it was going to be either first place or elimination, but luckily I was able to move on to second place. So I am delighted, I'm very happy. And I know my next opponent is going to be really tough, and I don't have much time to prep, but I'll try my best. Well, congratulations, GuMiho. Thank you.
What a treat. Great day of games today. Too bad Reynor got knocked out, but hey, Season 2 is just around the corner, right?
Yeah, and I feel like that now that he's finally been able to break through into the round of 8, I mean, Reynor looked fantastic today. I know that he lost there in the final match, but I don't think his story is done here in GSL. I would be surprised if he didn't qualify for the next season. I'd be even more surprised if he didn't have a good performance going into something like the round of 8. I think he's really got what it takes, but as it is, the semifinal bracket has been set. Hero versus GuMiho going to be match number 1. Classic versus Cure, 2 TVPs.
Yeah.
We might have our first Protoss champion in a while. This is the best case, I mean, not best case scenario. I mean, it is if you're a Protoss fan, but it's the closest that we've gotten. I mean, there have been GSLs in the past where we have like 3-4 Terrans in the top 4, or another Terrans and Zergs. In this case, I mean, Hero and Classic both looking really strong so far in this tournament. Everyone's talking about how scared they are of them. It's going to be a very fun day of StarCraft 2. I cannot wait to get started.
I'm so excited. It's going to be right here in the usual GSL studio, the classic GSL studio. This is at Samsung Station. Exit 1 goes straight a ways. You'll see on the map here where it is. All tickets are sold out. If somebody cancels, you would be able to get in. I don't know if that's how you want to spend your evening, is showing up here and then.
Yeah, I
wouldn't. You're probably not going to get in.
Yeah, I wouldn't hedge my bets on that.
I wouldn't hedge your bets on it, but you are welcome to try. We are across the street from the fire station, so we are capped on how many people can get into this building.
Yeah, and man, we are really speeding through this GSL season. It's hard to believe that tomorrow we're going to be doing the round of 4 and the finals. It is.
Yeah,
it is crazy.
It's quite a marathon of a day to have the final 4 and then the finals there. But it's a lot of great games. It's going to be really cool. We're either going to get a PVT or a mirror matchup, PvP or TVT, excuse me. Wouldn't actually mind a PvP.
Yeah, it would be fun, I think.
Just for a little bit of change.
Just really light a fire under Reddit.
Yeah,
Just really get them going.
Yeah, no, we knew it. We knew it was unfair. What else can we say? It starts at the same time as normal.
Yeah, 6:30 p.m. KST. And I think it's going to be really fun.
That's all the time we have, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We love you. Bye-bye.
Incoming transmission.